Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Konoha. The entire ninja world is my resurrection coin. Chapter 61. Orochimaru's Mansion. I heard that Orochimaru-sama can create a curse seal that enhances the strength of ninjas. Is there such a thing? There is such a thing. Garuru and Hyakura were pressed directly against Orochimaru's body. Lord Orochimaru, can you tell us the origin of these curse seals? Orochimaru looked at Hagura and smiled. That's not possible. This is our Konoha village's secret. Yi Kang was not disappointed either. If it was so easy to obtain, she would have to wonder if it was a trap set by Orochimaru after seeing through their identities. But she didn't believe it. When his brain was occupied by desire, this man could still maintain his sanity without any flaw. If it doesn't work once, then twice, Orochimaru will show his flaws one day. Thinking about it, she couldn't help but press her body closer. Then he looked at Makoto on Orochimaru's other hand with slight hostility. Orochimaru's disciple is indeed not a simple master-disciple relationship as the information said. He and a young bird like Garura are no match for Makoto. But even though there are women who ask for things like this, Orochimaru will still be seduced by them. Even Orochimaru, the renowned leader of the Sannin, is just an ordinary man. She even thought about poisoning her body and exchanging her life for the enemy's admiral. But even killing Orochimaru would not solve the situation of Sand Shinobi's defeat on the front line. Moreover, this Orochimaru is said to be an expert in using poisons. If he were to find out, it would be a bit of a loss. Orochimaru glanced at Yi Kang, and he naturally sensed the purpose of the two at a glance. But their purpose also coincides with Orochimaru's. Orochimaru, who has mastered the spiritualization technique, is no longer satisfied that his resurrection coin only exists in Konoha, and his teacher Sarutobi attaches great importance to the curse seal and does not intend to leave any possibility of leakage. He was originally thinking about how to spread the curse seal to other ninja villages, but unexpectedly, Yi Kang and Garura came directly to his door. At this moment, in a burst of white smoke, an Anbu ninja knelt down on one knee in front of Orochimaru. Master Orochimaru, the new batch of ninja students are about to graduate. You can plant a curse seal at any time. The opportunity has come. A glint flashed in Yi Kang's eyes. Orochimaru looked at Hagura's eyes and smiled casually. As Yi Kang and Garura's breathing intensified slightly, he took out a test tube containing black liquid from a scroll. This is the reagent for the curse seal. After diluting it and injecting it into the neck, you can use the power of the curse seal. Send it to these genins. Yes, Orochimaru-sama. The Anbu ninja turned slightly and took the reagent of the curse seal. Late at night, killing and blood broke the tranquility of the night. Success. Yi Kang had a look of ecstasy on his face. Their efforts over the past 10 days were not in vain, and now she finally got the secret that broke the balance of the war between Konoha and Sand Shinobi. As long as we bring the power of the curse seal back to Sand Shinobi, we can win the war, right? Garuruo also had a look of joy on his face. The land of rain. War zone. Several Konoha shinobi looked at the countless puppet mechanisms around them with horrified expressions on their faces. What is that? Why are there so many puppets of Sand Shinobi? A ninja quickly formed a seal. Fire-style great fireball technique. The fireball destroyed one golem, but was quickly replaced by another. It can't be solved at all. A puppet suddenly opened its mouth and released countless purple needles from its mouth. The Konoha shinobi pulled out a kunai to resist, but the countless needles were impossible to defend against. Soon a Konoha shinobi was grazed on the shoulder by a needle, and his lips turned purple in a matter of seconds. Then the severe pain caused him to kneel to the ground. Poison, it's poison. Konoha shinobi looked shocked, but quickly regained his composure. Then we can only. As he spoke, the curse seals on the necks of all standing Konoha shinobi began to spread, and powerful chakra burst out. Immortal magic chakra has strong resistance to toxins, allowing them to ignore the poisons all over the sky. Soon the Konoha shinobi used fire-style ninjutsu to destroy a puppet, revealing the puppet master hidden inside. The puppet master is here, go to hell. Don't get too carried away, ninja of Konoha. But the puppet master snorted coldly, and then strange black lines appeared on his face, facing the enemy's attack. The puppet master, who was supposed to be fragile, actually knocked the Konoha shinobi away with one punch. Now the power of the curse seal is not exclusive to Konoha. What? All the Konoha shinobi were shocked when they saw the curse mark on the sand shinobi puppet master's face, and then they were overwhelmed by countless puppets. Ah! An old man watched all this from a high place. Orochimaru is truly a genius. He was able to develop something like a curse seal. But now that we also have the power of the curse seal, how can the Konoha shinobi resist us at all? Looking at the Konoha shinobi who fell to the ground, Chiyo's face showed the joy of getting revenge. Not enough. Only by killing White Fang can I avenge my son and daughter-in-law's spirit in heaven, and avenge the orphaned Chie. Konoha command. We received intelligence. A large number of poisonous puppets appeared on the battlefield, causing serious damage to our Konoha. Sand Shinobi sent out the most elite puppet troops. Is this Chiyo's revenge? Orochimaru looked at Tsukumo's self-reproaching expression, with a flash of sarcasm in his eyes. Being familiar with the plot and the relationship between the characters, he naturally knew the consequences of killing Akasa and his wife, but he still agreed to Tsukumo's beheading plan. Because it was never in Orochimaru's own interest to end the war too quickly. During the war, he could get corpses like Hanzo's. In peacetime, he would never be able to collect such high-quality materials. Orochimaru blinked to calm himself down. His expression quickly returned to its usual indifference. But that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that Konoha's curse seal somehow ended up in the hands of Sand Shinobi ninjas. We suspect that the previous theft of the curse seal potion was caused by Sand Shinobi. Without the advantage of the curse seal, Konoha may no longer be able to maintain its absolute advantage as before. The casualties among the Konoha shinobi will probably not be the same as they are now. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed. This is why he would rather give up some of his interests and hope that the war will end as soon as possible. But after all, this hero was not as indecisive as later generations, and his eyes soon returned to their former sharpness. As a Hokage, he couldn't afford any hesitation. In the face of emergencies, making decisions coldly is the character that a qualified leader should have. Everything should be based on the interests of Konoha. This is one of the reasons why he has always preferred Orochimaru to Tsunade and Jiraiya. Sarutobi Hiruzen blew out smoke. Jiraiya, you go and sit in the Rain Shinobi Northern Camp to prevent the threat from Rock Shinobi. Orochimaru, I now appoint you as the commander-in-chief of the war against Sand Shinobi. You lead 1,000 ninja troops to support the Konoha camp in the Land of Rain to deal with the sudden appearance of the puppet troops. Tsukumo, follow Orochimaru's instructions and assist from the dark. The escalation of the scale of the war naturally means that Orochimaru and others can no longer take as leisurely a time as they did before. They must return to the battlefield to prevent the situation from getting worse. Sarutobi Hiruzen calmly gave the order. This decision reflects Sarutobi Hiruzen's tendency to a certain extent. Originally, Tsukumo was the commander-in-chief of Konoha's war against Sand Shinobi, while Orochimaru was the commander-in-chief in charge of the other side's war against Rain Shinobi. Rain Shinobi has been completely beaten to the point of collapse by Konoha, and the position of Commander Orochimaru has naturally been automatically revoked. But now, Sarutobi Hiruzen has removed Tsukumo from his position and handed over the command to Orochimaru. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen is now at his peak, he is far from willing to let go of his power. But this chaotic world is never peaceful, and even Hokage may die in battle one day. In order to avoid the chaos caused by his own death, cultivating a qualified successor is something that any Hokage must complete as soon as possible. His chosen successor was, of course, Orochimaru. Tsunade and Jiraiya are still too emotional after all, and they will not be qualified leaders and rulers. Orochimaru, he is the most gifted genius ninja Sarutobi Hiruzen has seen since the death of Senju Tobirama. In him, Sarutobi Hiruzen even saw the shadow of his own teacher. He has shown great interest in ninjutsu since he was a child. He communicates with himself about ninjutsu, and sometimes he can even express some insights that surprise him. Orochimaru, he is both disciple and friend to Sarutobi Hiruzen, and he is also the proudest disciple. The only pity is that Orochimaru has little interest in his exclusive telescope technique. In this regard, Jiraiya may be more in line with his personality. Sarutobi Hiruzen felt a little bit regretful. As for Tsukumo, he was not part of the Hokage family and had never been considered by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Promoting Tsukumo is just to better utilize the 5-cage level combat capabilities. And he has already given Tsukumo a chance, and now no one will have any objections to suppressing the non-Hokage line in favor of Orochimaru. Yes, Tsukumo had no resentment at having his power taken away. He didn't have much desire for the position of Hokage, and in his opinion, it was his own responsibility to escalate the situation. He felt only deep remorse for escalating the war. How many people will die because of me? How many families will be torn apart because of me? Orochimaru, let me go with you. Seeing Orochimaru taking Makoto and preparing to kill Chiyo, Tsunade couldn't help but look worried. This time the war will most likely involve the third cage and Chiyo. A person's name, the shadow of a tree. Rain Shinobi didn't only fight Konoha. Sand Shinobi was able to fight Konoha in the Land of Rain because the war between Rain Shinobi and Sand Shinobi had gone to Sand Shinobi's side. And Chiyo is a ninja who once fought against Hanzo without losing. Chiyo cracked the poison of Hanzo of the salamander and developed a formula for the antidote. He also analyzed the shortcoming that it takes 5 minutes for the body of the Sanshou fish to refill with poisonous gas. As a ninja who can compete with Hanzo's branch, Chiyo's strength is evident. Madara. How could Tsunade trust Orochimaru to deal with Chiyo alone when the enemy was defeated by 3 people working together? And the third cage is even above Chiyo, and is known as the strongest cage. Even stronger than the first cage who quelled the troubled times and established Sand Shinobi. Tsunade grew up listening to the stories of her grandfather Senju Hashirama, but she never underestimated these ninjas from the Sengoku era. Even stronger than first cage, he is definitely one of the top 5 cage. Moreover, although Chiyo's younger brother Ebizo is not as good as Chiyo, he is also a famous ninja who is qualified to hold the position of 5 cages. Facing 3 strong men of this level at the same time, how could she not worry about Orochimaru? Don't worry, I'm sure. Orochimaru grinned. Of course he knew what his teacher was thinking. As Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen needs to stay in Konoha to prevent possible sneak attacks by Cloud Shinobi and Kurigakure at any time. Danzo naturally performs route duties and deals with things that are inconvenient for Hokage to deal with. For example, he instigated a war between Rock Shinobi and Cloud Shinobi village, and used all means to prevent the 2 countries from shaking hands and making peace. As for Tsunade, Sarutobi Hiruzen hopes that Orochimaru will be responsible for her mission. On the one hand, Orochimaru is the only person who can persuade her, and on the other hand, it is to train Orochimaru to take over the position of Hokage in the future. Tsunade, you have a more important mission. Chiyo toxin is extremely difficult to deal with. You will use the corpses that the Konoha shinobi brought back from the battlefield at their own risk to develop an antidote. I will let Nunoyu stay in Konoha to help. Tsunade opened her mouth, but seeing the look in Orochimaru's eyes, she knew that she could not change Orochimaru's will. When did it start? The always strong self has become accustomed to accepting Orochimaru's arrangements. The decision he had made, he could only obey. In this case, we must break out Chiyo's poison as soon as possible and provide Orochimaru with an antidote that is enough to defeat Chiyo. Thinking of this, Tsunade's eyes became firm. She suddenly stood in front of Orochimaru, blocked Orochimaru's words with her soft lips, and gave him a bite of dog food in front of all the Jonin. Leave it to me, Orochimaru. You must be more careful on the battlefield. We must come back alive. Morning. Orochimaru came out of Tsunade's bedroom. In order to prevent Orochimaru from making dangerous moves easily, Tsunade tried his best to say goodbye last night. Even the sage body that was initially completed with Orochimaru was a bit too much to handle. Nanoyu and Makoto, who had been waiting outside the house for a long time, skillfully cleaned Orochimaru's body and arranged his clothes. The ninja army has been assembled and it's time to set off. Orochimaru arrives outside Konoha village. A mighty ninja army has already gathered here. Sir Orochimaru, the total number of Konoha shinobi, 1,256, is here. Among them, there are 47 Jonin, especially 110 Jonin, 532 Chunin, and 567 Genin. Ready to go at any time. A man with red eyes reported. Naturally, he is Yuhi Mahong. Now he is quite famous in Konoha because of Orochimaru's attention. He will serve as Orochimaru's deputy in this operation. This 1,000 ninja troops did not include Tsukumo and others. Orochimaru is in charge of the frontal battlefield, while Tsukumo and others are tasked with assassinating the enemy from the side battlefield. And because he was concerned about the casualties of the Konoha shinobi, Tsukumo chose to set off earlier. Then let's go, Orochimaru said nonchalantly. Orochimaru didn't like wasting time on meaningless morale boosting. He prefers to crush everything with absolute power. The third Kazekage died from the assassination of the Red Sand Scorpion, the fourth Kazekage died from the joint efforts of Orochimaru and Kimimaro, and the fifth Kazekage died from the tailed beast after being captured by Deidara because he wanted to protect Sunagaku. Merely Sand Shinobi, a hidden village where every Kazekage has been killed by enemies. If you are afraid of facing such an opponent, how can you compete with Uchiha Madara, who is hiding somewhere, and Black Zetsu, who has survived in the ninja world for thousands of years? There seemed to be a lot of ninjas from the Hyuga clan this time. Orochimaru scanned around and found many ninjas with white eyes. Yuhi Mahong answered hurriedly. Sand Shinobi's poisonous puppet assassination force likes to hide in the dark and attack with puppets. The white eyes can help us find the puppet master's identity. It was Hyuga, the leader of the Hyuga clan, who volunteered to recommend it to third Hokage during the day. The Hyuga clan. It seems that the leader of the Hyuga clan is not a complete idiot. Orochimaru smiled slightly sarcastically. Sarutobi Hiruzen has almost suppressed Senju. Now the only character Senju can use is Tsunade, and the others are just some rookies who are not even at the Jonin level. As for Uchiha, the suppression has never stopped since second Hokage, but because they are worried that this neurotic clan will do something beyond their control under high pressure, they choose to divide them from within. After them, naturally comes the Hyuga clan. Gentle fists of this family are not suitable for dealing with puppet masters, as they lack the means of long-range attacks. It's not that these Hyuga ninjas can't learn ninjutsu, it's that they are not allowed to learn ninjutsu. After all, most of them sent to the battlefield were branch houses. The caged bird seal has two functions. One is to automatically destroy the Byakugan after the ninja dies or when the Byakugan is dug out. Secondly, at close range, the Zong family can use this curse seal to control and destroy the brain nerves of branch house members, thereby achieving the purpose of controlling the branch house. Therefore, branch houses are naturally not allowed to learn long-distance attack methods that are difficult to defend against, whether it is revolving heaven, 8 trigrams air palm, or other ninjutsu. These branch house members were sent by Hyuga, the current leader of the Hyuga clan, to die on the battlefield during the day. The purpose is to actively weaken the clan's strength to prevent the Hokage from becoming suspicious, thereby expressing to the Hokage that he has no objections. Orochimaru had a look of interest on his face. Then, is there anyone from the Hyuga clan? Yuhi Junhong thought seriously for a moment. Only one person. It is said that she is the fiancée of Hyuga Hiyashi, the young leader of the Hyuga clan. But it seems that she was only responsible for logistics work during this mission and did not participate in frontal combat. That's natural, fighting on the battlefield is the job of the Hyuga branch house. In order to so-called protect the Byakugan from being lost, the Zong family rarely appears on the frontline battlefield. Historically, the Hyuga clan's military exploits were almost always obtained by the branch house, although it was the clan family that gained the glory in the end. Orochimaru didn't have any surprises. Who is the leader of the Hyuga clan this time? Yuhi Mahong answered hurriedly. Sir Orochimaru, this is Hyuga Hazashi, the second son of the clan leader Hyuga Hazuma. He is the representative of Hyuga branch house. Hyuga Hazashi. That is Neji's father in the original book. Orochimaru's eyes fluctuated slightly. Orochimaru muttered the name silently, and then looked at Makoto beside him. Do you know this person? Makoto pondered for a moment. In ninja school, he was my last top student. However, he is the branch house of the Hyuga clan. So he can't get the Byakugan. Caged bird. Orochimaru's golden eyes flickered and he was silent for a long time. It doesn't matter, let Hyuga Hazashi come to see me. Hyuga Hazashi looked at his brother's fiancée not far away in her undisguised forehead, and clenched his fists unwillingly. This time, as the representative of the Hyuga clan, his main task is not to use the Byakugan to gain an advantage for Konoha on the battlefield, but to protect the clan who insists on going to the battlefield by himself after saying, I want to dedicate my strength to the village, Missy. Oh, dedicate your strength to the village. If he wasn't a member of the clan, Hazashi could fight 10 of these useless guys. But just for the safety of such a waste, 3 Jonin like him were needed to specially guard him, which in turn restricted the combat effectiveness of Konoha Shifang. Speaking of which, it seems that this guy is still his brother's fiancé, and the person responsible for serving and protecting her is his own fiancé besides himself. The fiancé who met for the first time. In order to ensure that the white eyes do not leak out, the Hyuga clan has always married within itself. And in order to ensure the purity of Byakugan, both parties to the marriage are directly designated by the family. The spouse of the clan house must be of the clan, and the spouse of the branch house is naturally also a branch house. Compared to marriage, in Hazashi's opinion, this is more like mating. 2 people who have never met, just because they happen to be geniuses, are randomly paired together in order to create better offspring. He is his brother's slave, and his wife is his brother's wife's slave. All this is to better protect the Hyuga clan who gave them the seal of caged bird. Like a joke, Hyuga Hazashi sneered. I don't know whether he is laughing at the Hyuga clan or himself. He couldn't help but smile. He clenched his fists, but only felt a deep weakness. How long will this fate last? Will his future, 420, children continue to struggle in the cage? And in stark contrast to the Hyuga clan, Hazashi looked at the girl with white eyes next to him and sighed slightly. The ninjas in the branch house, like ordinary children, need to kill enemies on the frontal battlefield at the age of 10, and need to be sacrificed to become a bridge connecting Hyuga and Konoha. Is your name Hyuga Natsu? Yes, Hazashi. The girl answered respectfully. The frontal battlefield is still too dangerous for a newly graduated genin like you. I'll go and apply to Orochimaru-sama for you to take care of Orochimaru-sama's daily life. Everything follows Hazashi-sama's instructions. Hyuga Sha is like an emotionless doll, like a Hyuga ninja who is completely numb in a cage. Just like any other branch house. For some reason, Hazashi suddenly felt distressed. Will his future children also be bound by the Hyuga clan like this? A ninja suddenly appeared in front of him. Hazashi-sama, Orochimaru-sama invites you. Hearing Orochimaru's name, Hyuga Sha suddenly raised his head, not knowing what he was thinking of writing. Hazashi was slightly startled. Hyuga Hazashi didn't know why this big shot with whom he had no connection would summon him in person. But just in time, he also wanted to meet Mr. Orochimaru for this junior in the branch house. Okay, I'll be there soon. Then he looked at the branch house girl who made him feel a little distressed. You can go too. Hyuga Hazashi and Hyuga Sha followed the order and came to the temporary residence built in Earth style for Orochimaru. Hazashi finally met this legendary man. Just as he imagined, cold, powerful and unfathomable. Hazashi and Hyuga bowed slightly. Lord Orochimaru. Orochimaru ignored Hyuga Sha, just stared at Hazashi in front of him, and did not respond immediately. The long silence made Hazashi a little nervous, but this nervousness was soon turned into panic by Orochi's next words. Do you want to escape the prison of fate? Orochimaru's words immediately stunned Hazashi. After a long time, Hazashi came back to his senses, and his eyes changed crazily. Hyuga Sha, please step aside first. Master Orochi and I have something to say. Hyuga Natsu left the room with an emotionless doll. There were only Orochimaru and Hazashi left in the whole room, and the silence made Hazashi a little uneasy. Orochimaru repeated his previous words again. Do you want to escape the prison of fate? Escape from caged bird. Hazashi clenched his fist uncontrollably, but quickly released it. I don't know what Orochimaru-sama is talking about. Looking at Hazashi's eyes that were still faintly touched despite his efforts to hide them, Orochimaru raised a smile. Let me tell you a story. Cloud Shinobi's envoy robbed the eldest lady of the clan in order to obtain the Byakugan, and was then killed by the head of the Hyuga clan, but Cloud Shinobi used this to put pressure on Konoha to hand over the murderer. In order to protect the Byakugan blood succession from leaking out, the younger brother of the Hyuga branch house sacrificed his life in place of his older brother who was a clan member, and became the scapegoat to protect the Hyuga clan and Konoha. And after his son learned about his father's and his own fate, he didn't want to be a bird imprisoned in the cage of fate and tried hard to change. He is a once-in-a-hundred-year genius of the Hyuga clan. He defeated the young clan leader and seriously injured Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. He was promoted to Jonin at the age of only 15 and is famous throughout Konoha. In a battle, he fought with the eldest daughter of the Zong family, the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Facing the enemy's attack, only he had the ability to protect the eldest daughter of the Zong family and Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, but at the cost of his own life. The eldest lady of the clan is the clan leader's legitimate daughter. And that Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, his existence is the only possibility of victory in this war. His father is Hokage, one of his teachers is also Hokage, and the other teacher is both Hokage's teacher and apprentice. With his ability, if he wins this war, he will definitely become Hokage in the future. If it were you. Orochimaru's golden snake eyes looked at the somewhat confused young head of the Hyuga branch house. Will you give up your life to save the eldest lady of the clan and the future Hokage? That person is your son in another world. Of course, Orochi didn't say the last sentence. Orochimaru said and suddenly felt like laughing. The Hokage's son becomes the Hokage, and the scapegoat's son becomes the scapegoat. Maybe this is also a way of expressing the will of fire. The fire of inheritance is passed down from generation to generation and never ends. After all, in a world where bloodline boundaries exist, it is normal for bloodline to determine everything. It is a given that the differences between people are determined from birth. If he hadn't been a time traveler, he would have suffered the same fate of being killed in one move when he met a certain pair of Mangekyo Sharingan in the future. Facing Neji, who was also in the cage of fate, he couldn't help but feel some sympathy. This may be one of the reasons why he remained indifferent as he watched Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo push the blood step by step into a desperate situation. Hyuga Hazashi thought seriously, but he didn't know what Orochimaru wanted to express to him through this story. He has never heard of such a story. This story seems to have nothing to do with his wealth, except that the twin brothers in this story are somewhat similar to him and Hiyashi. Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. How could Uzumaki Mido, the wife of Lord First Hokage, be a being that the Hyuga clan branch house can defeat? But the story of the scapegoat's son continuing to be the scapegoat made him a little uncomfortable. Hazashi opened his mouth and was about to deny it, but suddenly hesitated when the words came to his lips. If you just sacrifice yourself, you can win the war, gain the favor of the Hokage for the Hyuga clan, and even eliminate the gap between the clan and the branch house. Can he ignore them for the sake of his own hatred? Hazashi opened his mouth again, but was unable to express his denial. This hesitant gesture was quickly caught by Orochimaru, and there was a look of disappointment in his eyes. Back off. Boring guy. After all, Hazashi is not an ordinary branch house. As the son of the clan leader, although he is a branch house, he grew up with Hiyashi, enjoying the best resources and putting his family before himself. He is not a slave in the absolute sense. The so-called resistance is more just dissatisfaction with his father's distribution. Otherwise, he would not have willingly become Hiyashi's replacement in the original work. Even if Hazashi imitates idiots like Jiraiya and Naruto and says, "I will save them all alive." Hazashi, who firmly believed in Orochimaru's preset destiny, was not qualified to receive his attention after all. My power is only given to those who want to control their own destiny, not to be a puppet of fate. You just need to dedicate your life to me. I don't agree with the fate of dying to save other people. Suddenly, Orochimaru noticed a prying gaze. White eyes. The corners of his mouth, which were originally disappointed, turned up with a hint of interest. Behind the door, a girl with white eyes suddenly gasped violently. What just happened can be seen from the faint veins in the corners of her eyes that have not completely subsided. She just opened her eyes. It was he who just secretly opened his Byakugan to observe Orochimaru. But almost at the same time as he was peeping, he felt a pair of snake eyes immediately noticed her peeping. At that sudden glance, he couldn't see a single muscle in Orochimaru's body. All I can see is the horror like an abyss. The girl who thought she had taken everything for granted felt the fear of death for the first time. But after the disaster, she suddenly felt ecstatic. Yes, such power. If anyone can change his destiny, it is the person in front of him who can kill him with just one glance. Her name is Hyuga Shaw. Is a ninja in the Hyuga branch house. Like other branch houses, she was engraved with the seal of Caged Bird at the age of 3 and became a member of the Guardian clan. She is just a doll whose destiny has already been planned. She forgot what her expression looked like when she knew her fate. She is afraid, she hates, she wants to escape. So she studied like crazy and tried to prove her worth with strength. But that makes no sense at all. Not being a member of the Zong family, she could only learn the most basic gentle fist. Just as the clan leader discussed not long ago, her efforts were successfully seen by the clan leader, so she was selected to become the maid of the next young clan leader when she reaches adulthood. She was completely numb, accepted her fate, and silently waited to become the maid of a certain clan eldest lady in the future. If you're not lucky, it might be a certain young master. She wants to change all that. However, she was trapped in a cage and had no power to resist. The original 7 years have gradually smoothed the edges of Hyuga Shah. She has almost accepted her fate. As a member of the Hyuga clan, she will protect these clans have planted caged bird for themselves. Until the existence of the curse seal gave him a glimmer of hope. She is a ninja of the branch house, and is not allowed by the clan to use the curse seal that increases her power and may pose a potential threat. But she tried opening the Byakugan to observe the person with the curse seal, but found that the curse seal could block the Byakugan's observation to a certain extent. If it's Orochimaru, maybe he can find a way to get rid of the fate of the Hyuga branch house being controlled by the seller. Moreover, what did she just hear? Lord Orochimaru says he can eliminate Caged Bird and remove the mark on her forehead that reminds her that she is just a slave. How she wanted to take Hazashi's place and kneel down and surrender to Orochimaru-sama. They don't care at all about the clan that imprisoned them. Soon, Makoto brought a somewhat bewildered Hyuga Shah to Orochimaru. Orochimaru couldn't help but find it interesting. One is Hazashi, who seems to be resisting, but actually obeys his fate, and the other is Hyuga, who seems to accept his fate, but is actually resisting. Sure enough, was it discovered that you were peeping with your white eyes before? Hyuga Shah still felt a little scared when she thought of the chakra that was as terrifying as the abyss. Hyuga Summer. Orochimaru looked at Hyuga Shah seriously with slightly aggressive eyes. Hazashi had already left, and the only sound left in the room was the breathing of the two of them. Under Orochimaru's gaze, Hyuga Shah felt a great sense of oppression. 5.8 She couldn't help but the hairs all over her body stood up, and her whole body couldn't stop trembling. It wasn't until Orochimaru looked back that Hyuga Shah began to breathe heavily. Weaker than Orochimaru imagined. At 10 years old, he is still only at the level of Chunin. He is not a genius like himself or Kakashi, at best he is only on the level of Jiraiya. Although he is in the category of genius, he has not reached a level that would attract Orochimaru's attention. Orochimaru thought for a moment. I am Hyuga Natsu. After Hyuga took a few breaths, he regained his respectful attitude. Orochimaru couldn't help but feel a little amused. In front of me, you don't need to wear a mask of hypocrisy. My respect for Orochimaru is genuine. Hyuga Shah responded without hesitation. Orochimaru smiled and didn't pursue it. I'm working on the Byakugan. Orochimaru glanced at Hyuga Shah's forehead. There, Konoha's forehead protector firmly covered the caged bird's mark underneath. It seems that the girl wants to hide her miserable fate. Too bad, you're just a branch house. Hyuga Shah clenched her fists and seemed to have made a decision. The man in front of her is her last life-saving straw and the only chance to change his destiny. The girl suddenly knelt down on her knees and put her forehead on the ground. Giving up all etiquette and dignity, she just knelt on the ground like a dog wagging its tail and begging for mercy. Lord Orochimaru, please, I don't want to be a puppet at the mercy of others anymore. Orochimaru's golden eyes were unwavering. What you want to get, you have to pay for. So if you want my help, what are you willing to pay for it? I would like to be Orochimaru-sama's maid, and give it my all. Whether it's the body, the eyes, or the life. Hyuga Shah answered calmly word by word, as if it was not something important to her. Oh, Orochimaru had a mocking look on his face. You don't want to be a slave of the Hyuga clan, but you are willing to be controlled by me. Hyuga Shah had a look of unwillingness on her face. As a branch house with a humble status, she has no value. She can only give everything to seek the happiness of this adult. She would rather be a servant of Lord Orochimaru than a slave of the Hyuga clan. At least, this is a fate chosen by herself, and this is her humble resistance to fate. She wanted to spread her wings and fly, even if she tied other chains to it. To be honest, I have seen many Uchiha Orochimaru who try to resist fate, but rarely meet Hyuga who tries to resist fate. Perhaps the hopeless fate has caused these poor guys to lose the courage to resist. Perhaps they have also challenged fate and tried to spread their wings and fly. In the end, he fell to pieces in the cage of fate. Orochimaru suddenly appeared in front of Hyuga Shah. He lifted Hyuga Shah's chin and carefully admired the girl's white eyes. These beautiful eyes are blinded by the caged bird mark. The caged bird seal is a curse seal that acts on the soul. Your eyes and your body are of no use to me. 630, your strength is no more than that of an ordinary chunin, and your loyalty is worthless. Even in the impure world reincarnation body, Hyuga Hazashi still has caged bird carved on his forehead. The effect of this curse seal is on the soul and transcends death. Seeing the increasingly desperate expression on Hyuga Shah's face, Orochimaru suddenly paused. But, I decided to give you a chance. Orochimaru looked at her with an appreciative look on his face. Perhaps Hyuga's talent is not as good as Hazashi's, but his desire to control his destiny is far superior to Hazashi's. Maybe it will be a useful tool. The caged bird technique of the Hyuga clan is a curse that has been passed down for thousands of years. It won't be possible to crack it in a short time. That is to say, is there really a chance to solve it? Hyuga Shah felt that her breathing was a little short, and even the etiquette and attitude she had maintained on weekdays were temporarily forgotten. Certainly, I now have a way to suppress caged bird to a certain extent. At least your Byakugan won't have a blind spot. Orochimaru licked the corners of his mouth, showing his sharp teeth. To act on the soul, add something else to the soul. The new curse seal will naturally cover part of the effect of the original curse seal. This is one of the reasons why the Hyuga clan is unwilling to use the curse seal in the branch house. Although it is impossible to lift this curse so easily, at least the life and death of the person who is engraved with the curse of heaven is only controlled by Orochimaru. I did not give it ADBJ to you for free. It depends on how you perform. Orochimaru paused. I'm interested in the pure Byakugan right now. It's the next direction for my research. AR. Hyuga Shah muttered to herself. As long as the caged bird's mark is still engraved on the forehead, it is impossible to obtain the Byakugan of the Hyuga branch house. So Orochimaru means. Hyuga Shah hesitated for a moment, and a determined color appeared on Hyuga Shah's face. It was the desire of a drowning person for a rope, and the madness of a person who has lived in darkness for a long time for the only light. I will get the clan's Byakugan for Orochimaru-sama. Even if the price is the complete subversion of the Hyuga clan. The mission of the Hyuga branch house is to protect the Byakugan from leaking out. All suffering stems from this. Why should she abide by this reason that creates all tragedies? Why should those guys who are so superior and arbitrarily decide the fate of others have to sacrifice her freedom to protect her? When Hyuga Natsu left Orochimaru's tent, clutching her neck, she was still in a daze. He didn't even pay attention to the greetings from other ninjas. She walked straight to the lake and took off the Konoha forehead protector that had been tied to her forehead. The water reflected the slightly dim caged bird seal on her forehead and the 3 Magatama curse seals on her neck. This is the highest level of heaven's curse seal. It actually suppressed the seal of caged bird to a certain extent. Hyuga Shah felt incredible emotions in her heart. It turned to ecstasy. She breathed in the air around her greedily. She had never felt so free for a moment, no longer under the control of the Zong family, and her destiny was in her own hands. As long as I am loyal to that man, I can control this destiny that is uniquely mine. Thinking about it, she put on her forehead protector again, and there was no longer any confusion in her eyes. Lord Orochimaru, do you want to get the Byakugan? After Hyuga left, Makoto had a puzzled look on his face. In that case, wouldn't it be faster to attack the Zong family directly? Hee. Orochimaru rubbed Makoto's head. Makoto closed his eyes, enjoying Orochimaru's intimate behavior. Neither the Sharingan nor the Byakugan themselves are powerful blood successors to me. What interests me about the Byakugan is its evolved form. Does Byakugan also have an evolved form? Makoto looked confused. Mangekyo's existence is at least traceable. For example, Uchiha Madara, the peerless strongman from the Sengoku era who was on par with first Hokage. The evolution of the Byakugan is simply unheard of. Certainly, Orochimaru licked the corner of his mouth. And that would be more powerful than Mangekyo, enough to rival Rinnegan's eyes. I want to see what unknown scenery Hyuga Natsu's Byakugan can see. Although it is something more difficult to obtain than Mangekyo, Hyuga Sha may not have that talent. Helping her was just a whim of mine. I wanted to see where the wind I stirred up could make this free bird fly for the first time. Orochimaru has not yet collected any information on the Otsutsuki on the moon. Therefore, he has no way to obtain the cells of the Otsutsuki family that correspond to Hyuga. It is also impossible to conduct research related to Tensegan. But that's not impossible. When he spreads the curse seal all over the ninja world, the holder of the curse seal will become his eyes and ears and find the entrance to the moon for him. Stronger than Mangekyo. The look of disappointment and jealousy flashed across Makoto's face. She believed everything Orochimaru said. But because of this, she became jealous of Hyuga Natsu, who gained Orochimaru's attention. Obviously I also want to be the eyes of Orochimaru-sama. Orochimaru naturally saw Makoto's emotions at this time, and he was silent for a moment. Orochimaru's mouth release is not very strong. But there will always be people who will follow you wholeheartedly. Like Hyuga Natsu, like Nono-yu, and like Uchiha Makoto in front of me. Because, in this world, not just Hyuga, countless people just live in darkness under the fate of being imprisoned. So even a tiny ray of light will become the sun that illuminates their entire world. If you want to learn magic, I can teach you when you have some free time. Orochimaru's voice brought Makoto out of his thoughts. Can I learn Sage Mode too? Makoto's eyes lit up slightly. No, Sage Mode is actually related to the affinity of the Yang Chakra, that is, the Sage body. The Uchiha clan generally only possesses the Yin attribute chakra and does not control the Yang attribute power. Even if your body has some Yang escape chakra due to the implantation of my cells, that's not enough to support the use of Sage Mode. Quote. Looking at Makoto's slightly disappointed look, Orochimaru paused slightly. However, Sage Mode is the same power as the Curse Seal. When you obtain the Curse Seal and become familiar with it, your body is gradually being transformed into a container that adapts to the power of nature and my soul. Relying on the power of the Curse Seal, it is not impossible to control the magic. Slowly combine that power with the Curse Seal, and maybe you can create your own Curse Seal Mode 3. Orochimaru pressed his face against Makoto's neck, pressed against the 3 Magatama-shaped heavenly curse seals on Makoto's neck, and smelled the fragrance unique to a girl coming from her body. Yes, Orochimaru-sama. Feeling Orochimaru's breath close at hand, Makoto's face turned slightly red. The loss in her heart was swept away and turned into incomparable joy. She looked shyly at Orochimaru's pair of aggressive snake eyes. Lord Orochimaru, tonight, is it my transformation technique and shadow clone? The Konoha shinobi troops led by Orochimaru were advancing rapidly. Suddenly, the Hyuga ninja who was in charge of reconnaissance at the front of the team suddenly shouted loudly. Lord Orochimaru, there is an ambush ahead. As soon as he finished speaking, dense crowds of puppets suddenly appeared from all directions. Completely blocked the direction of the ninja troops' advance. Everyone hurriedly stopped and made a fighting stance. Is it a white eye? Then we can only have a head-on confrontation. The old man wearing a turban murmured. Having been in charge of intelligence work, he naturally knew the power of the Byakugan. Byakugan may not be as capable as Sharingan in combat, but his strategic significance in war is far beyond what Sharingan can match. In front of these eyes, all ambushes and assassinations are meaningless. Ebizo. Orochimaru looked at the old man's figure thoughtfully. Sunagaku's 2 most powerful ninjas currently besides the 3rd Kazekage are both puppet masters. None other than Chiyo, Sunagaku's advisor, and her brother Ebizo. They respectively represent 2 schools of puppetry. Chiyo inherited Monziman's White Secret Technique School, while Ebizo served as the puppet master of the Black Secret Technique School. Different from the White Secret Technique, the Black Secret Technique emphasizes the use of poison. Sand Shinobi, the entire poisonous puppet army that made Konoha uncomfortable, although it took orders from Chiyo, was actually created by Ebizo. Losing the possibility of a sneak attack, the ninjas of Sand Shinobi waved their fingers one after another, and countless black puppets attacked the Konoha Shinobi. Densely packed, covering the sky and the earth. Gentle fist. A ninja with white eyes waved his palm and completely destroyed one puppet, but another puppet immediately pounced on it. After being hit by the machine dagger hidden in the puppet's body, purple blood flowed out of his arm. The Hyuga clan is not suitable to deal with the puppet master. Their Byakugan can effectively find the hiding place of the puppet master, but since they do not learn ninjutsu, they do not have many long-range attack methods. There is almost no way to face these puppet masters hiding behind the puppet. And their iconic eyes make them easy to become the first target of enemies. This is also the reason why not many Hyuga ninjas were sent to the Sand Shinobi battlefield before. They could only play a reconnaissance role. Be careful of the poison on these puppets. Poison. Orochimaru gently stretched out a finger and used strange force to smash a puppet into pieces. He looked at the purple poison on his finger and sneered disdainfully. Then his hands quickly formed completely different seals. Earth-style Earth Dragon Bullet. Fire-style Fire Dragon Bullet Technique. The Earth Dragon constructed with the Earth-style chakra opens its mouth and sprays a stream of earth forward. At the same time, Orochimaru spits out a beam of fire from its mouth and merges with the Earth Dragon. Compound Ninjutsu. Earth Dragon Flame Bullet. With the blessing of Orochimaru's huge amount of chakra, the ninjutsu composed of Fire Dragon Bullet and Earth Dragon Bullet turned into a huge Earth Flame Dragon. In an instant, the puppets in one direction were swept across, completely clearing away the enemies in that direction. The Sand Shinobi ninja had a look of horror on his face. What? It's actually a compound ninjutsu. Such a power, I'm afraid it's just like an S-level ninjutsu, right? Such an enemy is not something Jonin like us can handle. Konoha's side showed a surprised expression. That's third Hokage-sama's signature skill combination ninjutsu. I didn't expect Orochimaru-sama to have learned it too. With Orochimaru-sama here, we will definitely win this war. But the movements in Orochimaru's hands did not stop. Water-style Water Dragon Bomb. Lightning-style Thunder. Orochimaru injects lightning-style chakra into Water Dragon Bomb, turning it into an electrified thunder and water dragon. Compound Ninjutsu. Lightning Water Dragon Bomb. The water dragon blasted in one direction, turning into water and splashing out, indicating that it was spreading along the water. The water dragon bomb instantly killed several puppet masters, and the paralysis caused by lightning caused countless puppet masters to lose their ability to move. It has to be said that Sarutobi Hiruzen's large-scale combination ninjutsu attacks are very suitable for dealing with these dense enemies. Under the attack, dozens of puppet masters died in Tianwei's hands. Ebizo shouted hurriedly, "Stop Orochimaru! We can't let him attack anymore." As Ebizo's voice fell, the puppet masters who had been hiding around him from the beginning appeared. The Sand Shinobi looked at each other, nodded to each other, flame-like black lines appeared on their faces, and then made the same gesture. 4 Purple Flame Formation. A 4-sided purple barrier completely separates Orochimaru and the others from the puppet masters. Seeing that the barrier was completed, the Sand Shinobi all showed proud smiles. Orochimaru, although we are no match for you, you can't kill us through the endless swarm of puppets. And you yourself will slowly consume your physical strength in the group of puppets and slowly accumulate scars. Finally died in our hands. When a Konoha shinobi touched the barrier, his body immediately burst into flames. Then he fell to the ground in pain and died. The ninjas in Konoha all looked panicked. In this fatal situation, they have no idea how to deal with it. They cannot attack the puppet master's body at all, but the puppets can continuously attack them. A few puppets may be destroyed in the end, but they will definitely be the ones who die. 4 Purple Flame Formation. The sarcastic look flashed across Orochimaru's golden eyes. He had already noticed the traces of the barrier. As for why not avoid? Orochimaru inside the barrier suddenly turned into a puddle of soil, and Makoto turned into a wisp of white smoke. The real bodies of Orochimaru and Makoto have appeared behind the group of puppet masters. Appearing with them, there were 3 shadow clones of Orochimaru. They stood in the 4 directions of Sand Shinobi, east, south, west and north. Then, a purple and transparent rectangular barrier opened, containing all the puppet masters in C. 4 Black Snake Formation. Orochimaru's approach to Kushina was not without success. This girl who is almost becoming Orochimaru's fangirl knows everything about the Uzumaki clan's sealing and barrier techniques. The four black snake formation is an advanced barrier technique created with the help of Kushina based on the sealing technique of Uzushio village. This is the first time this technique has appeared. These sand shinobi were used as the first batch of test subjects for this technique. When the sand shinobi ninjas had a look of horror on their faces. How can it be? It was clearly a barrier carefully planned by them, but it was blocked by Orochimaru. Purple smoke emerged from the four black snake formation. Ebizo suddenly seemed to realize something and his expression changed drastically. Quick, cover your body with chakra. Ebizo suddenly shouted anxiously. Ah! Before the sand shinobi could recover, their bodies were already acting strangely. A sand shinobi's body begins to melt. From the face, to the limbs, to the body. In just a few seconds, the ninja was completely dissolved and disappeared from this world. It's like it never existed. It's poison, a terrifying toxin that can corrode and dissolve the human body. All the puppet masters looked at their hands that were slowly corroding even with chakra blocking them, with expressions of fear on their faces. If it weren't for the fact that they had opened the curse seals one after another and had a certain degree of resistance to poison, I am afraid that with the corrosiveness of this poison, they would have turned into several islands of skeletons by now. As puppet masters, poison is an important means of attack for them. As elites, most of them are naturally experts in poison. But at this time, they had never heard of the poison used by Orochimaru. I have never heard of a poison with such terrible power. 0. Please give me flowers. Even Rain Shinobi, Hanzo of the Salamander, who was once called a demigod, couldn't come close. Dismantle the four purple flame formation immediately. Ebizo shouted anxiously. The sand shinobi came to their senses and hurriedly followed the instructions. They looked at the Konoha shinobi who were still fighting with the puppets in the four purple flame formation. Yes, the ninjas of Konoha are still blocked in the four purple flame formation. As long as the barrier is removed, Orochimaru's four purple flame formation will kill everyone in the barrier, including Konoha shinobi, regardless of friend or foe. But as soon as they wanted to move, they felt that their bodies were not in control. Severe paralysis prevented them from moving. Ebizo's eyes widened in shock. Could this feeling be Sensho fish? Oh, Orochimaru raised an eyebrow. As expected of someone who has fought against Hanzo before, he has some experience. The poison that corrodes the body comes from the snake venom in Ryachi Cave. Under Orochimaru's research, this toxin that is enough to corrode the body has completely become Orochimaru's own destiny. Moreover, it is mixed with other toxins that Orochimaru can collect. Naturally, this also contains the poison of the Sensho fish that once caused even Sannin to suffer. Hearing Orochimaru's approval, Ebizo cursed secretly. Ebizo burst out with a burst of chakra, barely regaining control of his body, and stabbed his palm with a kunai. The pain temporarily offsets the numbness. Then, he moved his hands quickly, and several invisible chakra threads connected to the bodies of the four ninjas who used the sealing technique. Four purple flame formation, solved. Under Ebizo's control, the four ninjas quickly formed seals to unlock the four purple flame formation. Orochimaru's eyes flickered slightly. He had no regard for the lives of these Konoha shinobi. If they hinder him or have something he seeks, he will even kill them directly. However, this group of people cannot all die here. Then I'll kill you head on. Four black snake formation, solved. Orochimaru made a slight seal. The purple barrier disappeared from the air. Saved. Many sand shinobi ninjas couldn't help but express their gratitude for surviving the disaster. After untying the barrier, Orochimaru suddenly felt an invisible chakra thread wrapping around his body. Immediately afterwards, countless poisoned kunai and shurikens flew towards him out of thin air. Puppet technique. Control the attack blade. Orochimaru looked in the direction of Ebizo, understanding in his heart. The application of puppetry. It's really interesting. He is worthy of being a puppet master as famous as Chiyo. But, 8 trigrams palms revolving heaven. Orochimaru suddenly burst out with a burst of chakra energy, and then he made a circular spinning motion like a top. Both the ninja tools and the chakra threads flying towards Orochimaru were completely destroyed in an instant. That's revolving heaven. How can it be? Among the Konoha shinobi, the ninjas of the Hyuga clan couldn't help but widen their eyes. How did Orochimaru learn this secret technique of Byakugan that not even the branch houses have mastered? Ebizo was also shocked, but he immediately opened his hands, and several puppets popped out daggers from their wrists and attacked Orochimaru. Secret Black Technique Hand Dagger. Puppetry uses chakra threads to control puppets for combat. Top puppet masters can also attach chakra threads to enemy puppets or even people. Their strength can be seen by the number of puppets they control. Ebizo directly connected the chakra threads to the puppets of several dead puppet masters, and was able to control 5 puppets at the same time to fight. But not before the puppets get close to Orochimaru. A black figure has appeared in front of Orochimaru. Chidori Ryu. Violent thunder and lightning emitted from Makoto's body, destroying all the puppets. Her speed, how is that possible? Ebizo's eyes widened. No, that's not her speed. That is. Makoto felt his body acting automatically, and immediately became wary. But then, a familiar feeling came from the chakra thread connected to her body. Fight as my puppet, Makoto. Orochimaru's hoarse voice came, and Makoto completely gave up resistance and allowed himself to be manipulated by Orochimaru. Yes, Orochimaru-sama. Makoto felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction at this moment. The puppet masters who had been hiding around from the beginning appeared. The Sand Shinobi looked at each other, nodded to each other, flame-like black lines appeared on their faces, and then made the same gesture. 4 Purple Flame Formation. A 4-sided purple barrier completely separates Orochimaru and the others from the puppet masters. Seeing that the barrier was completed, the Sand Shinobi all showed proud smiles. Orochimaru, although we are no match for you, you can't kill us through the endless swarm of puppets. And you yourself will slowly consume your physical strength in the group of puppets and slowly accumulate scars. Finally died in our hands. When a Konoha shinobi touched the barrier, his body immediately burst into flames. Then he fell to the ground in pain and died. The ninjas in Konoha all looked panicked. In this fatal situation, they have no idea how to deal with it. They can't attack 930 at all to the puppet master's body, but the puppets can continuously attack them. A few puppets may be destroyed in the end, but they will definitely be the ones who die. 4 Purple Flame Formation. The sarcastic look flashed across Orochimaru's golden eyes. He had already noticed the traces of the barrier. As for why not avoid? Orochimaru inside the barrier suddenly turned into a puddle of soil, and Makoto turned into a wisp of white smoke. The real bodies of Orochimaru and Makoto have appeared behind the group of puppet masters. Appearing with them, there were 3 shadow clones of Orochimaru. They stood in the 4 directions of Sand Shinobi, east, south, west and north. Then, a purple and transparent rectangular barrier opened, including all the puppet masters. 4 Black Snake Formation. Orochimaru's approach to Kushina was not without success. This girl who is almost becoming Orochimaru's fangirl knows everything about the Uzumaki clan's sealing and barrier techniques. The 4 Black Snake Formation is an advanced barrier technique created with the help of Kushina based on the sealing technique of Uzushio village. This is the first time this technique has appeared. These Sand Shinobi were used as the first batch of test subjects for this technique. When the Sand Shinobi ninjas had a look of horror on their faces. How can it be? It was clearly a barrier carefully planned by them, but it was blocked by Orochimaru. Purple smoke emerged from the 4 Black Snake Formation. Ebizo suddenly seemed to realize something, and his expression suddenly changed. Quick, cover your body with chakra. Ebizo suddenly shouted anxiously. Before the Sand Shinobi could recover, their bodies were already acting strangely. A Sand Shinobi's body begins to melt. From the face, to the limbs, to the body. In just a few seconds, the ninja was completely dissolved and disappeared from this world. It's like it never existed. It's poison, a terrifying toxin that can corrode and dissolve the human body. All the puppet masters looked at their hands that were slowly corroding even with chakra blocking them, with expressions of fear on their faces. If it weren't for the fact that they had opened the curse seals one after another and had a certain degree of resistance to poison, I am afraid that with the corrosiveness of this poison, they would have turned into several islands of skeletons by now. As puppet masters, poison is an important means of attack for them. As elites, most of them are naturally experts in poison. But at this time, they had never heard of the poison used by Orochimaru. I have never heard of a poison with such terrible power. Even Rain Shinobi, Hanzo of the Salamander, who was once called a demigod, couldn't come close. Dismantle the 4 purple flame formation immediately. Ebizo shouted anxiously. The sand shinobi came to their senses and hurriedly followed the instructions. They looked at the Konoha shinobi who were still fighting with the puppets in the 4 purple flame formation. Yes, the ninjas of Konoha are still blocked in the 4 purple flame formation. As long as the barrier is removed, Orochimaru's 4 purple flame formation will kill everyone in the barrier, including Konoha shinobi, regardless of friend or foe. But as soon as they wanted to move, they felt that their bodies were not in control. Severe paralysis prevented them from moving. Ebizo's eyes widened in shock. Could it be Sensho fish? Oh, Orochimaru raised an eyebrow. As expected of someone who has fought against Hanzo before, he has some experience. The poison that corrodes the body comes from the snake venom in Ryachi Cave. Under Orochimaru's research, this toxin that can corrode the body has completely become Orochimaru's own power. Moreover, it is mixed with other toxins that Orochimaru can collect. Naturally, this also contains the poison of the Sensho fish that once caused even Sannin to suffer. Hearing Orochimaru's approval, Ebizo cursed secretly. Ebizo burst out with a burst of chakra, barely regaining control of his body, and stabbed his palm with a kunai. The pain temporarily offsets the numbness. Then, he moved his hands quickly, and several invisible chakra threads connected to the bodies of the 4 ninjas who used the sealing technique. 4 purple flame formation, solved. Under Ebizo's control, the 4 ninjas quickly formed seals to unlock the 4 purple flame formation. Orochimaru's eyes flickered slightly. He had no regard for the lives of these Konoha shinobi. If they hinder him or have something he seeks, he will even kill them directly. However, this group of people cannot all die here. Then I'll kill you head on. 4 black snake formation, solved. Orochimaru made a slight seal. The purple barrier disappeared from the air. Saved. Many sand shinobi ninjas couldn't help but express their gratitude for surviving the disaster. This is exactly what she longs for, to fight alongside Orochimaru-sama. Even being able to be manipulated and used as Orochimaru-sama's weapon is what she dreams of. Lightning-style Chidori. Orochimaru controlled Makoto to swing the Chidori around among the puppets. Chakra was injected from Orochimaru's body into Makoto's body through the chakra line, making her feel fuller than ever before. Ebizo couldn't help but shed a few drops of cold sweat on his forehead as he watched the power Makoto exerted in Orochimaru's hands. Does Orochimaru actually have such profound knowledge in puppetry? Even just controlling a Jonin with the puppet technique can suppress an entire army of poison puppets. The limit of a puppet master is a human puppet. Mechanical puppets have their limits. Although they are flexible and changeable, puppets that cannot use ninjutsu are ultimately inferior to real ninjas. And the female ninja being used as a puppet by Orochimaru in front of her is undoubtedly close to a human puppet at this moment. Ebizo breathed out softly. Although using humans as puppets has huge advantages. Secret skill: poisoning needle in the mouth. The nimble movements of Ebizo's fingers. Several puppets opened their mouths and fired countless green poisonous needles. Human beings are just flesh and blood after all. Unlike puppets, which have no pain or emotions, they can be put back together even if they are broken. As long as a human being is hit by a poisonous needle, he will definitely die. Yes, although Makoto is controlled by Orochimaru, she is not a puppet after all. As a mortal, she would be in an extremely dangerous situation if she was hit by a poisonous needle. But in the face of such an attack, Makoto, who was controlled by Orochimaru, did not dodge. Not even blinking. Makoto has absolute trust in Orochimaru. It's just a few poisonous needles. Even if Orochimaru-sama wants my life, I won't hesitate at all. However, the poisonous needle did not hit Makoto, but was blocked by several puppet masters. Ebizo looked at Orochimaru in shock and anger. Sure enough, Orochimaru was controlling Makoto with one hand, and the other hand was connected to the bodies of several puppet masters with chakra threads. Their eyes widened and they couldn't believe that they would die in the hands of Lord Ebizo. They opened their mouths, but the poison in their throats prevented any words. They just spit out green poisonous blood from their mouths and fell to the ground, without any life left. What's wrong? As you said, human beings are too fragile after all as puppets. He was actually killed by a few poisonous needles. Orochimaru spoke calmly, but to Ebizo it sounded like the sharpest sarcasm. The lightning in Makoto's hand still hadn't dissipated, and Orochimaru drove Makoto's body through the crowd of puppets. And from time to time, he used the bodies of several sand shinobi unfortunates to block Ebizo's attacks for Makoto. In just a moment, dozens of puppet masters fell into the hands of Makoto and Ebizo. With the puppet master eliminated by Makoto, countless puppets lost control, and the Yin ninja side also immediately took advantage. Orochimaru has an absolute understanding of Makoto's body. Years of experimentation and cooperation have allowed him to know the strength and flexibility of any part of Makoto's body, and the chakra silk thread connects his chakra and Makoto together. Therefore, in the hands of Orochimaru, Makoto played far beyond his own limits. Ebizo's eyes turned red. If these puppet masters died at the hands of Konoha shinobi, he might only be sad and miserable. But using the sand shinobi ninja's body to resist the attack, what he felt was unparalleled anger. With a wave of his hand, Ebizo immediately connected several more puppets with chakra threads. Poison cone hell incomparably accurate, hundreds of shots. Countless puppets whose owners died were controlled by Ebizo. They rotated around Orochimaru and Makoto at high speed. At the same time, all the mechanisms on their bodies were opened, and countless poisonous needles were fired in the direction of the two. Orochimaru's eyes flickered. Although such an attack could not hurt him, Makoto's body was not as close to immortality as his. Orochimaru moved his fingers, and the Chidori in Makoto's hand dispersed, and then fell into Orochimaru's arms under the pull of the chakra thread. 8 trigrams palms revolving heaven. Holding Makoto in his arms, Orochimaru suddenly burst out with chakra energy, and then he began to rotate in a circular motion like a top. All the poisonous needles were blocked by this force and could not get close to Orochimaru and Makoto. See the sea. Lao Zhang's eyes flashed with danger. Ebizo removed the chakra thread in his hand and connected it to several puppets that were still intact. Poison cone hell incomparably accurate, hundreds of bursts. Poison cone hell incomparably accurate, hundreds of shots. Poison cone hell incomparably accurate, hundreds of shots. Ebizo's face showed a crazy look. Under the attack of Makoto and other Konoha shinobi, half of the sand shinobi poison puppet assassination force he led had been almost completely destroyed. But if you can take Orochimaru away, it's worth it. Yes, as long as you keep firing poisonous needles, Orochimaru's chakra will be exhausted. But at this moment, Ebizo suddenly burst into sweat and felt a strong sense of crisis. 8 trigrams mountain breaking strike. A vacuum shock wave landed on Ebizo's body without any obstruction, sending him flying several tens of meters away. He stood on the ground with one hand, covered his sunken chest with one hand, and vomited a mouthful of blood. Ebizo looked in that direction and saw a girl with white eyes waving her palm in his direction from a distance. Her face was covered with black curse marks. Heaven's curse seal, State 1. How could a 10-year-old girl? Ebizo's eyes widened, and then he vomited blood. Although they have terrifying destructive capabilities, the body of a ninja is extremely fragile. Without a sage body and a defensive ninjutsu like Susanoo, even the 5 shadows could be killed by a kunai. I'll teach you a lesson. The chakra line is not the only way to control people. Orochimaru withdrew from revolving heaven, slowly put down Makoto in his arms, and looked down at Ebizo, who was kneeling on the ground, expressionlessly with his cold snake eyes. Then he raised his finger. Densely packed detonating symbols climbed up Ebizo's body, covering him all over. Fire style detonate the flame array. Orochimaru shouted softly. The detonating talisman on Ebizo's body was immediately ignited, and the densely packed detonating talismans detonated one after another, and they were superimposed into bursts of huge explosions. Boom, boom, boom. It took a long time for the explosion to subside. Disappearing along with this voice was the life of a 5-cage level expert. Makoto expertly placed Ebizo's blackened body into the scroll for Orochimaru. Hyuga Shaw looked at his hands in disbelief. 8 trigrams mountain breaking strike. Is this a technique I can use? Just now she only felt a warmth coming from the spot on her neck where Master Orochimaru had bitten her. Then she felt like she was losing control of her body. This is the power of the curse seal. Hyuga Shaw stroked her neck greedily. I want more power like this. Only in this way can I hold my destiny in my hands. The battle was over, and Yuhi Mako reported to Orochimaru after finishing the battle. Reporting to Lord Orochimaru, We suffered 173 casualties this time, annihilated 227 sand shinobi, and captured 66 people. We have organized the Yamanaka clan to torture the prisoners. Without an antidote, the Konoha shinobi would still suffer heavy casualties even if they had an absolute advantage. The sand shinobi uses the same curse seal as the Konoha shinobi, thus eliminating the puppet master's biggest weakness of being fragile, and the terrible poison is even more difficult to guard against. Although sand shinobi's toxin is not as good as Orochimaru's toxin that can corrode the human body, it is close to the level of being fatal if touched. Kill all the prisoners. Taking them with you will only affect our progress. There won't be any important information on them. Third Cage would never make such a stupid mistake. Big O3 Shimaru said without looking back. Yes, because of heavenly beings. The distance from Konoha to Sand Shinobi is 3 days, and the distance to Rain Shinobi is 1 day. At dawn, Orochimaru and his party finally arrived at their destination. Orochimaru-sama, you are here. Seeing the arrival of Orochimaru and his entourage, the Konoha Shinobi station there all showed excitement. These days, they have been struggling to hold on under Sand Shinobi's offensive. The camp that originally had 2,000 people now has less than 1,000 people. The remaining Konoha shinobi have all died under Chiyo's poisonous puppet. Some of the survivors looked sad, and some were dejected. It wasn't until Orochimaru stepped into the camp that all the faces suddenly became alive. Orochimaru-sama. Orochimaru-sama. Yes, Master Orochimaru, who once led Konoha to defeat Rain Shinobi, will definitely lead them to defeat Sand Shinobi this time. In this way, they can avenge their dead companions. Report to me the casualties and war situation this time. Orochimaru's eyes did not waver at all, and he just said to a ninja casually. Reporting to Orochimaru-sama, the total number of Sand Shinobi currently at war with us is around 3,000. There were originally 2,400 ninjas in this camp, and they were able to suppress the Sand Shinobi with the power of the Curse Seal. But after Sand Shinobi also obtained the Curse Seal, the original advantage disappeared directly. Under Sand Shinobi's crazy offensive, Konoha Shinobi's casualties exceeded 30%. Today we only have 1,700 people left alive, about half the number of Sand Shinobi. Furthermore, we don't have anyone strong enough to compete with Sand Shinobi Chiyo. Under her control, Sand Shinobi's poisonous puppet army inflicted heavy casualties on the Konoha Shinobi. There is nothing we can do about that toxin. Even a scratch will be fatal. That poison. Orochimaru recalled the poisonous needle of the puppet in Ebizo's hand. Although they are just toys to him, they will not cause any harm to him even if they hit. But for these Konoha shinobi enthusiasts, that's very tricky stuff. It doesn't matter, I'll go meet Chiyo in person tomorrow. As the other ninjas retreated, only Orochimaru and Makoto remained in the Konoha command room. Orochimaru opened the curtains and looked at the heavy rain that seemed to never stop in the sky of the land of rain. Chiyo, I wonder if you have completed that technique now. On the other side, Sand Shinobi headquarters. Ebizo and the others haven't come back yet. Reporting to Master Chiyo, we have not received any news about Master Ebizo so far. Continue to look for news about the puppet army. Yes. Seeing his subordinates turn into sand and disappear, Chiyo's slightly older face was filled with worry. Ebizo, I have already lost my son and daughter-in-law, I can't lose you again. Boom, boom, boom. The explosion of countless detonating talismans and the collision of ninjutsu awakened the silence of the morning. Secret black technique, poison smoke bomb. Secret skill, poison cone in the mouth. Fire style great fireball technique. Water style water wave. The Konoha shinobi and the Sand shinobi fight together. Their faces were covered with black curse marks, and they went all out when they fought. The poisonous fog filling the sky, the brilliant ninjutsu and the red blood intertwined into the scene of war. But under the overwhelming toxin, the Konoha shinobi seemed to be a little timid, and for a while they were at a disadvantage. A team of uniformed Sand shinobi suddenly rushed to the front. Wind style wind blade. Wind style Salin. Wind style dust whirlwind. Countless wind styles swept up a huge sandstorm and attacked Konoha's camp. Naturally, the frontal battlefield is not only filled with poisonous puppet troops, but also other ninjas. What is in front of me is naturally another of Sand Shinobi's prestigious wind-style troops. Wherever the huge sand tornado passed, Countless Konoha shinobi tried their best to resist, but were swept up and torn apart. Ah! Amidst the screams of the Konoha shinobi, Orochimaru and Makoto lazily walked out of the command room. Wind style, vacuum Dayama. A huge high-pressure wind ball was ejected from Orochimaru's mouth and hit the sandstorm, destroying the sandstorm in an instant. Then his hands quickly formed seals. Hai Shuyu Shen Wei. Summoning technique 10,000 snakes. In a burst of smoke, the giant purple snake with horns appeared on the battlefield again. Orochimaru, are these guys the enemies this time? Wan Shi looked at the sand shinobi below with disdain. Can I eat them? Orochimaru chuckled. As you like. Sand shinobi's poisonous puppet. How effective can those poisons specially formulated for humans be when faced with summoning beasts like Wan Shi, which are inherently poisonous? Just by moving on the battlefield, Wan Shi's huge body caused huge damage to sand shinobi and crushed countless ninjas to death. Wind style wind blade. Secret skill, poison cone in the mouth. Countless wind blades and poison cones fell on Wan Snake without even scratching its scales. But too many attacks also caused Wan Shi some pain. Ah, I'm going to eat you. Wan Shi had red eyes, opened its huge mouth, and pounced in one direction. In one bite, 043 bit off a piece of the ground, let alone the sand shinobi standing on it. But Wan Shi's attack didn't stop. Although it is huge, it moves in the battlefield extremely flexibly, evading countless ninjutsu attacks, and has bitten countless ninjas in one bite. No distinction is made between friend and foe. Of course, although Orochimaru didn't care about the casualties of Konoha shinobi, no one dared to bet on Orochimaru's true thoughts. It was difficult to distinguish the forehead protector, which was very small for him, but the attack was still aimed at the densely populated sand shinobi ninjas wearing hoods. Bah! It tastes terrible. Wan Shi chewed for a while, and then spit out the contents in his mouth. It could be seen that it was a puppet corroded by venom. With the intervention of 10,000 snakes, the war that was originally tilted towards sand shinobi quickly turned into Konoha's absolute advantage. As expected of Orochimaru-sama. With the help of Orochimaru-sama's summoning beast, we will definitely win. Countless Konoha shinobi fans showed joyful smiles on their faces. They have been suppressed and beaten by sand shinobi for many days, and now they can finally say something evil. How can it be? The puppet's poison has no effect at all. The poisonous puppet master of sand shinobi suddenly lost his temper. Toxins can be said to account for nearly half of the puppet master's combat power. Faced with such a behemoth that is immune to toxins, they don't know how to deal with it. Wan Shi would not answer the questions of these ants. It smiled ferociously and rushed towards the sand shinobi. But at this moment, Wan Snake suddenly felt as if something had hit his body, causing his body to stay directly in midair. There was finally a hint of fluctuation in Orochimaru's eyes from behind. Can you finally sit still, Tashiro? From behind the sand shinobi ninja, a short old man with purple hair slowly walked out. Sunagaker, Sunagaker. Such a name appears in the hearts of countless people. No one will underestimate her. This old man, who is as famous as Demigod and Hanzo, is an absolute 5-cage level rival. A-hole. Wan Shi struggled wildly and managed to break free from the chakra thread. Many scales on its body exploded, and red blood flowed out. It looked at Chio below with red eyes. There are other cage-level summoning beasts. To be recognized by a summoning mon of this level. It is indeed the wind of disaster that has turned the ninja world into chaos. Chio couldn't help but sigh. But she didn't pay too much attention to 10,000 snakes, but instead turned her attention to Orochimaru, who had appeared not far away at some point. How is Ebizo? There was a hint of sarcasm in Orochimaru's eyes. Haha, who knows? Perhaps you have already gone to meet the ancestor of the puppet master. Orochimaru suddenly felt an invisible chakra thread wrapping around his body. Immediately afterwards, countless poisoned kunai and shurikens flew towards him out of thin air. Puppet technique. Control the attack blade. But what these attacks hit was just a pool of water. As expected of siblings, they even used the same moves. Chio's eyes darkened. From Orochimaru's words, Orochimaru once fought against Ebizo. But Orochimaru stood here intact. Then Ebizo, I'm afraid the situation is already in danger. Go to hell. Suddenly, Wan Shea, who had been lurking in the corner for a long time, came towards Chio with a grin. A bright light flashed in Chio's eyes. She waved her finger, and a white lion-like puppet opened its mouth wide and attacked Wan Shi. Sealing technique. Lion shuts roaring. You're just a puppet, watch me swallow you up. Wan Shi was not afraid at all. It had red eyes and was ready to ignore the puppet attack and eat Chiyo head on. But it suddenly turned into a plume of white smoke and disappeared, leaving only Orochimaru maintaining the posture of the seal. Sure enough, a waste like Wan Shi will only get in the way in a battle of this level. Whether it's Bunta or Banana, even though they are cage-level summoning beasts, they can even wrestle with tailed beasts, but that's just based on their huge bodies. They can bring great assistance to the war, and their strategic value is far from inferior to any cage-level strongman. However, since they cannot use most ninjutsu, they are only cage-level combatants in the final analysis. If these summoning beasts really had the high-quality cage-level strength of Hokage, they wouldn't be able to kill the three musketeers with one move from Tiandao. Sealing technique. The lion closes its roar, completely suppressing Chakra's sealing technique. If someone like Wan Snake rushes over recklessly, he will be killed instantly with one move. Chiyo put down her finger. If Wan Shi attacked just now, she would definitely make Wan Shi pay a heavy price. Let Orochimaru lose summoningmon, so Orochimaru can feel his own pain a little bit. A crazy look flashed in Chiyo's eyes. Chie has lost her parents, and now even her younger brother has died in the hands of the big snake. These Konoha ninjas killed his relatives one after another. How much pain do you have to make her suffer before she can be satisfied? Puppet control. Chiyo's hands were connected to several puppets. But before the puppets could move, several snakes wrapped around the puppets' bodies and bit them to pieces. I've seen these puppets before. Try something new. Before he finished speaking, Snake G was already stabbing Chiyo with a kusanagi sword. But Chiyo, who was stabbed, turned into a handful of sand. It is the unique sand clone of Sand Shinobi. The real Chiyo has appeared behind Orochimaru, stabbing him with a poisonous kunai. But Orochimaru only had a disdainful smile on his lips. Then, the impaled Orochimaru also turned into a puddle of water. Then, she discovered that her feet were covered with dense detonating symbols. Fire style, explosive flame array. Boom, boom, boom. Violent serial explosions sounded at Chiyo's original position. Half a minute later, the explosion dissipated, leaving only a puppet riddled with holes. Ahem. Chiyo appeared from among the puppets, looking a little embarrassed. She had just been able to escape by hiding among the puppets in an emergency. It's actually Hanzo's move. I didn't expect you to have grown to this point. Chiyo's eyes were serious. She heard that Sannin defeated Hanzo, although she knew that Tsunade and Jiraiya's strength could only be used as support at best. While she marveled and valued him, she was not afraid of Orochimaru at all. If you need to join forces with others, you will naturally be inferior to Hanzo. The need for Tsunade and Jiraiya's assistance also means that the qualitative gap between people has not been opened. As for Chiyo, she has fought against Hanzo countless times on the battlefield and is a strong person on the same level as Hanzo. So in her opinion, although fighting Orochimaru one-on-one is difficult, she has absolute confidence to win. But he never thought that Orochimaru's strength had reached such a frightening level. Presumably her brother died in Orochimaru's hands. The hatred in Chiyo's eyes flashed away. No solution anymore. Chiyo took out a scroll from behind and unfolded it. The 10 mantras drawn on it suddenly floated out, and then chakra condensed on the mantras. 10 puppets with different clothes and postures appeared in front of Orochimaru. White secret technique, Chikamatsu 10 people. This is the masterpiece of Monziman, the founder of the puppet master. Every puppet can fight 1 against 1,000. The attainment of puppetry can be easily seen from the number of puppets. Use 1 finger to control 10 puppets at the same time, and 1 finger to control 1 puppet. That is undoubtedly the state of the strongest puppet master in the ninja world. Chiyo even used this technique to destroy a city. Chiyo waved the chakra thread in his hand, and the 10 puppets brandished different weapons to attack Orochimaru from all directions. Some of them use double swords, some use iron chains, and some use bare hands. But even when facing the simultaneous attacks of 10 puppets, Orochimaru just moved his body slightly and dodged all the attacks with movements that were impossible for humans. At the same time, the kusanagi sword in his hand suddenly lit up with dazzling lightning. Lightning-style Chidori blade. Chang, chang, chang. The sword blade flashing with lightning collided with the puppet, and within a few breaths, one of the puppet's arms was chopped off. But Chiyo waved the chakra thread, and the severed arm was reconnected with the puppet. What a troublesome puppetry. Orochimaru's eyes flickered slightly. These 10 puppets were completely different from the puppets he had fought before. Those poisonous puppets only rely on toxins and unpredictable mechanisms, and their individual strength is extremely limited. As for the 10 Chikamatsu people in front of them, the absolute strength of each puppet individually is no less than that of an ordinary elite jonin. The movements of the 10 puppets are extremely flexible, and their cooperation is also extremely tacit. Together, even the 5 shadows are unable to resist. Water-style water-severing wave. Orochimaru intertwined his hands with the puppet and suddenly spit out a high-pressure water column from his mouth. This water column swept over the 2 puppets, like a sharp blade, cutting them in half. But Orochimaru's attack has not stopped yet. Without the entanglement of 2 puppets, he has his hands free. Water-style hard vortex water blade. A vortex of water appeared in Orochimaru's hand and condensed into a rapidly spinning water javelin. Orochimaru threw it hard, and the water gun hit a puppet, forming a huge water dragon port and tearing the puppet into pieces. In the battlefield of the Land of Rain, Orochimaru's water style is naturally blessed by the huge environment, and its power is not inferior to second Hokage even if you think about it. Seeing Orochimaru facing 10 people from Chikamatsu at the same time and still able to destroy several puppets with ease, Chiyo snorted. How about this trick? Chiyo clasped her hands together and raised her fingers. The 3 puppets suddenly left the battlefield. Under Chiyo's control, they were stacked together to form a triangle formation, forming the same seal as Chiyo. At the same time, they opened the mechanism in their mouths, wide scripts with Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha written on them. Puppet Technique 3 Treasures Absorb. A violent tornado emitted from between the 3 puppets, and the strong attraction pulled Orochimaru towards the center of the formation. Puppets combined ninjutsu, but Orochimaru, who was pulled by the tornado, did not panic, but admired these puppets using ninjutsu with great interest. The reason why puppets are inferior to real ninjas is because they cannot release ninjutsu. But these puppets in Chiyo's hands seemed to transcend such limitations. Of course, Orochimaru knew that it was just a curse seal burned into the puppet's body in advance, and it was still far from actually releasing the ninjutsu. But, what gave you the courage to let me get close? A strange smile appeared on Orochimaru's lips. Sage Art. White Geki Technique. A huge red dragon suddenly spit out from Orochimaru's mouth, it hovered in the air, and then a dazzling bright light and a sharp sound erupted. Light and sound hindered vision and hearing. The vibration of the air made Chiyo feel that all the bones in his body were being squeezed, and all his senses were paralyzed in an instant. Chiyo could no longer maintain the transmission of chakra, and the puppet lost control and fell to the ground. The eye shadow at the corners of Orochimaru's eyes shimmered slightly. He has mastered the perfect sage mode and naturally has the corneas and body of a snake like Yakushi Kabuto. Such attacks have no effect on him. In the bright light, he had appeared next to Chiyo. It's over. Sage Art Lightning Style Black Panther. The black leopard-shaped thunderbolt hit Chiyo head-on, blasting her dozens of meters away. The white light dissipated, and Chiyo finally managed to regain her vision. She supported her body to barely prevent herself from falling in front of the enemy. Chiyo vomited a mouthful of blood and looked at the snake unwillingly. She has lost feeling in her left hand. The severe injuries had put her on the verge of death. However, she cannot die here. If she died here, Scorpio, who had just lost her parents, would lose her last relative. Orochimaru was slightly surprised when he looked at Chiyo, who was still holding on and not falling down. Although he held back a little with the blow just now, it was with the purpose of making Chiyo completely unconscious. I kind of underestimate the willpower of you old guys. Compared to the bond of friendship. Sure enough, the desire for life can make people transcend their limits. Of course, if he wanted to, the attack just now would not only seriously injure Chiyo, but would directly kill Chiyo completely. The reason Orochimaru didn't kill Chiyo was because of one of her techniques. In other words, a technique she will develop in the future. Reincarnation. Chiyo studied this technique in order to resurrect her son and daughter-in-law, who are Scorpio's parents. In order to let Scorpio feel the love of her parents again, the old woman would rather sacrifice her own life. Unfortunately, before Chiyo could complete this technique, Scorpion killed third Cage and defected to Sand Shinobi. There is no shortage of tragedy in this ninja world. Life is fragile. Even a strong person like Kato Dan who is close to the shadow will simply die with a ninja sword. That's why eternity is so precious. That's why Orochimaru is so obsessed with pursuing eternal life. Chakra is the energy of body and soul. The application of chakra is essentially the transformation of life energy base. Since life energy can be converted into chakra, then chakra can naturally be converted into life energy. The king is good. Chiyo's own reincarnation will become an excellent reference for Orochimaru's research on life energy. Such a technique can also be regarded as an idea to explore eternal life. Of course, Orochimaru naturally does not use this jutsu for himself. He masters this jutsu so that others can use this jutsu to resurrect him. No matter which world it is in, Orochimaru will never lack people who are willing to sacrifice their lives for him. Whether it's Uchiha Makoto, Nonoyu, or Tsunade. If he dies, Orochimaru has no doubt that they will use their own lives to resurrect him. B. As a developer of this technology, how far have you reached in your research now? Sage Art Legend of Strange Shadows. Orochimaru's eyes suddenly turned red, and the shape of 3 Magatama appeared in his eyes. 3 Tomo Sharingan. Chiyo, who had been relying on her willpower to hold on, looked into Orochimaru's eyes, and her eyes couldn't help but change into the shape of Sharingan. The other side, Hitaki Sakumo, covered in blood, suddenly rushed into Konoha's camp. Sakumo-sama. The Konoha shinobi who stayed behind saw Sakumo and hurriedly stepped forward to help him. Sakumo-sama, we will prepare medical ninjas for you immediately. But Sakumo just grabbed the ninja's arm and stopped him. Ahem, there is no need for medical ninja. My current injuries are not enough to kill me. There are more important things than that right now, Sakumo said, suddenly coughing up a mouthful of blood. Sakumo remembered that he originally wanted to sneak into Sand Shinobi to assassinate Chiyo and obtain the antidote to tilt the balance of the war to Konoha's side, in order to appease the guilt of escalating the war because of himself, but he met an enemy that he could not compete with. Quickly pass the information to Orochimaru. Now Sand Shinobi is not the only one with Chiyo, there is also third Cage. Have you actually just started researching? A look of disappointment appeared on Orochimaru's face. At this moment, he suddenly felt a strong sense of crisis. Magnet-style sand iron knot attack. A giant spear made of sanded iron suddenly stabbed Orochimaru. Orochimaru hurriedly used the water body flicker technique and retreated. Third Cage. Orochimaru's eyes flickered slightly. Because after the end of the First Ninja World War, the ninja world ushered in a rare and long-term period of relative peace. In a relatively comfortable environment, the major powers had time to choose. The third generation Mechage selected basically had far more than the strength of the 5 Shadows threshold. Whether it is the third Hokage, the third Raikage, or the third Tsuchikage, they are all strong men with strong Cage-level strength. And the person in front of him is none other than the third Cage, who has the reputation of being the strongest in history. Even stronger than the first Cage who quelled the troubled times and the second Cage who created the puppet technique. Orochimaru, I thought I already valued you enough. I never thought you could defeat Ebizo and Chiyo. Third Cage's eyes flickered slightly. After Konoha defeated Rain Shinobi and drew out other troops, Sand Shinobi was constantly suppressed and beaten against Konoha. His only choice was to seek peace with Konoha or fight to the death. Known as the strongest Cage, he was naturally unwilling to surrender to Konoha. What's more, the performance of Yikang and Garura far exceeded his expectations. However, they successfully obtained the curse seal from Orochimaru in just 10 days. They and Konoha 717 have returned to the same starting line. It happened that Elder Chiyo was hysterical because his children were killed by Konoha, so he accepted Chiyo's request and let the Chiyo siblings lead the poison puppet army of Sand Shinobi to attack, in an attempt to wipe out all the ninjas stationed in Rain Shinobi in Konoha. And personally go to the Kingdom of Rain to plunder the formation to ensure the victory of the war. Generally speaking, the 5 shadows will not appear on the battlefield unless there is a life or death crisis. Because this means that there is an emptiness in the rear. As long as Rock Shinobi goes south, Sunagakure without his garrison is very likely to be directly wiped out. However, he was unwilling to admit defeat. He is the strongest Kazekage, and he will lead Sunagakure to become the strongest ninja village in the ninja world. How could it stop here? Oh, looking at third Kazekage, I was a little surprised. At the same time, Chiyo and Ebizo were dispatched, and you, the Kazekage, arrived at the battlefield in person. Did you not take that guy Onoki seriously at all? Humph, I won't bother you anymore. Third Kazekage snorted. If he didn't arrive in person, Ebi and Chiyo would both die in the land of rain. By then, Sand Shinobi will become the undisputed weakest among the 5 great ninja villages. Weaker than Cloud Shinobi village that lost 8 tails. Magnet-style Satetsu Shigure. The third Kazekage simply made a seal, and in an instant, sand and iron-like waves appeared out of thin air. The sand and iron then formed countless fine needles and shot towards Orochimaru at high speed. At the same time, Orochimaru could feel the Kusanagi sword in his hand beginning to be attracted to the sandy iron. Because sand iron itself has strong magnetism, weapons and ninja tools made of steel will be ineffective against the third Kazekage. For a strong man like Sakumo, who is famous for his swordsmanship, facing the third Kazekage would be like a nightmare. Magnet style. What an interesting ability. Orochimaru licked the corner of his mouth, causing the Kusanagi sword to disappear into a wisp of white smoke. Simultaneously slap the ground with both hands. Summoning technique Rashomon. A gate with a ghost face rose out of thin air, standing between third Kazekage and Orochimaru, blocking all the sand iron needles for Orochimaru. But the third Kazekage had long since disappeared, and when it reappeared, it was already behind Orochimaru. Magnet-style sand iron triangular pyramid. Third Kazekage raised his hand, and a triangular pyramid made of sand iron quickly shot towards the Orochi. Orochimaru wanted to dodge, but felt that his body was also a little sluggish. Is the iron element in your body also attracted by magnet style? In that case, Orochimaru clasped his hands together, and powerful chakra suddenly erupted from his body. Sage Mode State 2. As the voice fell, Orochimaru's aura suddenly changed, and a branch-like horn sprouted from his head. It's Raichi Cave's unique Sage Mode that sheds snakeskin and transforms into a dragon. Sage Art Inorganic Reincarnation. The lifeless land seemed to be controlled by something, turning into countless spikes that collided with third Kazekage's attack, blocking the attack for Orochimaru. This is not simply controlling the ground with chakra, but giving life to inorganic objects and controlling them, involving magic in the field of life. Sage Art, Orochi Thunder. Orochimaru stretched out his hands, and a huge golden thunder erupted from his hands, biting the third Kazekage like an arrogant python. But how could the third Kazekage, the strongest Adi Kazekage, be hit by such a simple attack? Magnet-style sand iron wall. He formed a seal with his hands, and countless sand and iron gathered in front of him, creating a solid wall. Ba, ba, ba. The thunder struck the sand iron wall, making a harsh sound, which was the wail of the sand iron wall being overwhelmed. Third Kazekage looked at the increasing number of cracks on the sand iron wall and was shocked. It's actually so powerful. Orochimaru, isn't this guy stronger than the third Hokage? Third Kazekage hurriedly formed a seal, and countless sand iron gathered on third Kazekage's shoulders, forming a pair of giant bird wings. Magnet-style Satetsu no Tsubasa. He flapped his wings and quickly got out of Orochimaru's attack range. The sand iron wall lost the injection of third Kazekage chakra and was completely shattered by lightning. Golden lightning exploded, leaving a bottomless pit in place. Seeing the power of this blow, a drop of cold sweat left the third Kazekage's forehead, but it turned into endless killing intent. Wind of disaster, Orochimaru. You have such strength at such a young age. If he is allowed to grow up, he will definitely be like the second Senju Hashirama. Then Sand Shinobi will definitely be able to survive under the power of Konoha. He must be killed here. Sandite Nai. Third Kazekage spreads its black sand iron wings and shoots out countless sand iron feathers from the center of the wings. Wind-style Great Breakthrough. Orochimaru instantly completed the seal and puffed up his mouth, and then a strong wind pressure spit out from Orochimaru's mouth. The violent storm destroyed all the feathers, and launched an unabated attack in the direction of the third Kazekage. Third Kazekage hurriedly activated the iron sand wings to avoid the attack range of this attack. After he avoided it, he saw that all the rain clouds in the sky behind him were blown away. This is just a C-level ninjutsu, but in the hands of Orochimaru in Sage mode, it displays the power of an S-level ninjutsu. Third Kazekage was horrified, but Orochi would not give him any chance to breathe. Latent shadow snake hands. Countless giant snakes entangled Third Kazecage's body, but soon Third Kazecage's body turned into sand and iron and dispersed. Magnet-style sand-iron boundary method. The sand and iron formed a large thorn barrier in the air, and countless iron thorns were stabbing in the direction of Orochimaru. This is the form with the strongest attack, limited range and density of magnet style. Within this barrier, Third Kazekage has an absolute advantage. Orochimaru uses his flexible body to dodge. But the attacks from these iron sands were countless, completely trapping him in one space. The surrounding sand and iron are shrinking rapidly, and Orochimaru is about to be crushed into pieces. Third Kazekage smiled victoriously. Looks like I won. Facing the sand and iron that was gradually gathering around him, Orochimaru made seals with his hands, and a light yellow rubber shield suddenly appeared around him. Lava-style Humo Jade. This rubber shield isolates all sand and iron attacks. It's actually the limit of blood inheritance. Isn't this Cloud Shinobi Village Elite Jonin Tashiro's lava style? Third Kazekage looked surprised, but he quickly thought of a countermeasure. Since I can't pierce your lava style's defense, then I'll suffocate you to death with sand and iron. Chapter 71. Following the movements of Third Kazekage, countless sand irons spread out from the iron thorns, covering the protective jade, faintly wrapping it completely again. Orochimaru naturally would not let himself fall into a situation where he was completely wrapped up in magnet style. He formed a seal with his hands, and blazing fire suddenly erupted around him. Fire-style baked technique. All the sand and iron suddenly fell to the ground as if out of control. How can it be? Third Kazekage's eyes widened. He couldn't understand why a simple fire-style spell caused his sand iron to escape control. Orochimaru would naturally not explain to Third Kazekage kindly. High-temperature demagnetization. In the Hokage world where everyone is illiterate, it is natural that such an operation would not be understood. The sand iron covering the Third Kazekage chakra cannot be demagnetized by ordinary temperature flames. When ordinary ninjas use fire style, they will not deliberately increase the temperature of the flame but pay more attention to the range and lethality, so that the Third Kazekage appears to be out of control now. Orochimaru just smiled incomprehensibly, and then he clenched his hands into fists. Third Kazekage read something bad. Is this your strongest attack? Then I'll try my best. Wood style, the birth of the tree world. As soon as Orochimaru finished speaking, the ground suddenly shook violently and opened numerous cracks. Countless tree roots emerged from the cracks. They grow in staggered circles, spreading branches and leaves. Completely destroy the surrounding terrain that was originally filled with sand and iron. The result is a forest that is uprooted in an instant. What? First Hokage's wood style. If Third Kazekage was just surprised at Orochimaru's strength just now, now he is truly scared. The name of a person, the shadow of a tree. He had only heard about how terrifying the Senju Hashirama, who ended the troubled times and established Konoha, was from the mouths of his elders. But these few words have already given the strongest Third Kazekage in history the idea of being invincible. The Third Kazekage flew high into the sky at high speed, trying to fly out of the range of the tree realm. But wood style grows faster. A vine grabbed Third Kazekage's ankle and tore it from the sky. The Sunatetsu no Tsubasa behind the Third Kazekage actually collapsed under this blow. Upon seeing this, Third Kazekage quickly gathered a sword of sand and iron and cut off the tree roots entangled with his feet. But he still fell to the ground after losing his strength, gasping for breath. Chakra is losing. Is it wood style? Of course, wood style's ability to defeat Mangekyo and bring peace to troubled times depends not only on its attack scale and lethality. This power has the same origin as Ten Tails, the source of chakra, and has the ability to absorb chakra. It seems that my wood style is even better. Orochimaru chuckled as he admired the surrounding environment that was completely destroyed by wood style. The birth of the tree world, Senju Hashirama's signature ninjutsu. Orochimaru can only use this power when he is in Sage mode. Otherwise, his wood style is only at the level of Obito. Seeing Orochimaru walking towards him, third cage took a step back in fear. But he quickly calmed down his inner fear, and his eyes regained their former calmness. You will never reach the point of first Hokage. Otherwise, you don't need to hide this power at all, right? With the power of the first Hokage, even if the other 4 ninja villages join forces, they will never be opponents. Orochimaru smiled incredulously. But, killing you is still very simple. Orochimaru stretched out his hand in the direction of the third cage. Countless tree roots rushed towards the third cage. Magnet-style sand iron top. Third cage waved his hand, and the open-minded people condensed out of thin air. It spins in the air like a top and flies towards Orochimaru. Wood-style tree boundary wall. But Orochimaru just waved his hand, and countless trees appeared out of thin air, protecting Orochimaru layer by layer. The sand iron spinning top fell on the tree boundary wall, slightly raising some wood chips. As the sand iron top dissipated, the tree boundary wall also turned into a few trees and dispersed, but Orochimaru was no longer there. Wood-style silent killing technique. Countless vines surged out from the surrounding forest and flew towards the third cage. Third cage hurriedly condensed a triangular pyramid of sand and iron to collide with the vines, and quickly retreated backwards. Latent shadow snake burial. At this moment, a voice came from nowhere. Third cage suddenly discovered that countless snakes appeared on the ground around him, and they surrounded him tightly, sealing off the entire space. Third cage was about to form seals to deal with it, but suddenly he felt chakra all over his body. He lowered his head and discovered that a vine had wrapped around his feet. Not good. Third cage was shocked, but he had no backup plan. He was tightly entangled by countless snakes and dragged to the ground. Eventually only one head remained above the ground. Orochimaru slowly walked up to third cage, bent down slightly, and looked at third cage, who had only one head left, with an unknown smile on his lips. Third cage knew that it was a mocking smile, and he couldn't help but darken his face. I really want to know how Sand Shinobi will survive between Konoha and Rock Shinobi with only Chiyo after losing you, the third cage. Orochimaru played with the snake in his hand, but his words instantly aroused the anger of the third cage. Orochimaru, kill me if you want. Are you humiliating me? If you think you can get information about Sand Shinobi from me, you are underestimating me, the cage. Orochimaru just smiled nonchalantly at third cage's glare. He is not a person who can see the dying person. Haha, magnet style. It's such an interesting blood inheritance limit that I can't help but. I want to take it away. Orochimaru's cuffs suddenly erupted with a snake biting third cage's neck. Then third cage groaned and fainted. Summoning technique. Aikikishima Hime. A petite and cute girl with long dark blue hair appeared in front of the snake. She is one of the 3 goddesses of Raichi Cave, and they are naturally the summoning beasts of Orochimaru. Lord Orochimaru, what are your orders? The girl bowed slightly. Bring this guy to Raichi Cave's laboratory. Remember to use your magic to absorb his chakra to keep him in a chakra-depleted state. Yes, Orochimaru-sama. The girl quickly disappeared with the third cage in a puff of white smoke. Has Chiyo already escaped? Walking out of the tree world, Orochimaru looked at the place where Chiyo had fallen. There was no one there. After all, she also has a strong desire for life like me. Although she did it because of her grandson Red Sand Scorpion, and I did it for myself. I hope the deaths of so many relatives and friends will help you speed up your research on the reincarnation technique. There is no Chiyo raid formation, and there is the puppet formation that one snake used to forcefully destroy Sand Shinobi in the first place. Although the antidote has not yet been completed, the frontal battlefield is still extremely difficult. But Orochimaru brought the best of the best, and he managed to gain the upper hand in such a situation. Lord Orochimaru, this time our casualties were 477, and Sand Shinobi were annihilated 621. Facing Yuhi's report, Orochimaru just nodded indifferently. Where's the third cage? Hitaki Tsukumo asked anxiously. Orochimaru stared at Tsukumo's eyes with a slightly sarcastic look. I don't know, maybe. It must have been eaten by a snake in Raichi Cave. You mean, thinking of a possibility, Tsukumo showed a look of horror on his face. Hearing the news that Orochimaru defeated the third cage, countless Konoha shinobi also cheered. The 5 shadows are the core figures of a village, and their death in battle will undoubtedly greatly dampen Sand Shinobi's fighting will. -0. Great. After defeating the 3rd cage, it's time for Sand Shinobi to surrender, right? Then it's time for our counterattack. Give those Sand Shinobi some color. Konoha must win. Iwagakure. Onoki was slightly absent-minded as he listened to the intelligence department's report. That guy from the 3rd cage actually died at the hands of Orochimaru. What method is used? I'm afraid this guy's strength has surpassed that of us old guys. But soon, Onoki's eyes became clear again. Now is the perfect time. Gather ninjas and prepare to send troops to Sunagakure. Konoha will defeat Sand Shinobi, but we Iwagakure will definitely be the biggest winners from Sand Shinobi's defeat. Sunagakure. Is this real? Several Jonin looked at Chiyo in disbelief until Chiyo, whose head was covered with bandages, nodded silently. Everyone felt that the world collapsed in an instant. How can it be? That is the strongest in history. But he watched Chiyo silently close her eyes without answering. While Chiyo-sama was injured, Iwagakure sent troops to capture the territory on the border between us and the land of birds. Now we can only give in to Konoha and Rock Shinobi. This new piece of bad news made the already grieving crowd even worse. A man with reddish-brown hair flashed in his eyes, and then he slapped the case and stood up. Now is not the time to give in. Chiyo opened her eyes and looked at Luo Sha. She had also heard a little about this famous genius of Sand Shinobi. Do you have any ideas, Luo Sha? Sand Shinobi is now facing the greatest crisis since the village was founded. If we give in at this time, other ninja villages will definitely come to take a bite. Only by remaining strong can we deter other ninja villages who are ready to take action. Besides, we are the only ninja village besides Konoha that controls the curse seal in the ninja world. Are you willing to surrender like this and let others slaughter you? Looking at the Jonin around him who was a little shaken by what he said, Luo Sha couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth. And, after the death of 3rd Kazekage-sama, the candidate for the next Kazekage should be put on the agenda, right? The news that Orochimaru killed the 3rd Kazekage quickly spread throughout the ninja world through spies from various countries. The reputation of the Wind of Disaster once again trembled the ninja world. When you encounter Orochimaru, you are allowed to give up the mission. It will not be regarded as a mission failure. Such words soon spread from all the major ninja villages. But contrary to the expectations of Orochimaru and others, after the death of 3rd Kazekage, Sand Shinobi did not retreat, but instead sent more troops. This time, even the imps who were not at Jonin Academy were sent to the battlefield. But the morale boost brought about by Orochimaru killing the 3rd Kazekage cannot be suppressed by the addition of these rookies. Lord Orochimaru even killed the 3rd Kazekage, but some little puppet masters want us to retreat. In the subsequent confrontations, Orochimaru did not take action again. He is not a strong person at the level of Chiyo or 3rd Kazekage, so he is not qualified to let Orochimaru take action again. He just casually summoned a few giant snakes from Ryachi Cave to attack the enemy indiscriminately, and then left the battlefield and returned to the lounge. Even so, he still gained the gratitude and admiration of countless Konoha shinobi fans. They all took it for granted that Orochimaru left the battlefield. After all, in their view, even though Master Orochimaru killed Ebizo, the elder of Sand Shinobi, defeated Chiyo continuously, and killed the 3rd Kazekage, he must have been seriously injured. After all, they are still 3 strong men of 5 or 5 cage levels. After Sakumo recovered from his injuries, he returned to the battlefield. This time, the evil reputation of Konoha's White Fang resounded throughout the ninja world, and Sand Shinobi even issued an order similar to Orochimaru's 003. When you encounter Hatake Sakumo, you are allowed to give up the mission, and it will not be regarded as a guest failure. Of course, this time it was only Sand Shinobi's unilateral order, and other shinobi villages did not follow. In Orochimaru's view, it was just a very crude alienation tactic, the purpose of which was to make him suspicious of Hatake Sakumo. Although Sakumo is also devastating to the low-end ninja world. But as a strong swordsman, he is not invincible. As long as there are enough Jonin encirclement and suppression, Sakumo can be put into a dangerous situation. Hyuga Summer. When the girl came back from the battlefield, countless ninjas greeted her in a friendly way. Hyuga Shaw also pretended to be enthusiastic, responded. She gained the respect of countless ninjas because she gave Ebizo the final blow when fighting Ebizo's ambush, and was recognized as the next rising star of Konoha after Uchiha Makoto. How could I possibly be better than the guy who got Orochimaru-sama's attention from the beginning? It wasn't until she returned to her lounge that Hyuga sighed with self-pity. She took off her blood-stained coat, revealing the black 3 Magatama curse mark on her neck. As expected of Orochimaru-sama, he was able to defeat even the third Kazekage. I'm afraid his strength has surpassed that of the third Hokage. Hyuga Shaw's eyes sparkled with unknown brilliance. It is respect for strength and desire for freedom. Yes, only such an existence can open my cage and change my destiny. I want to show Orochimaru-sama more of my worth. Only in this way can we attract his attention. It's a pity, because Snake doesn't seem to be interested in my undeveloped body as an adult. As expected, the only thing I can find that interests Orochimaru-sama now is pure Byakugan. This time there is only one ninja from the Hyuga clan in the ninja team. She has already investigated it carefully, but unfortunately she has never had a chance to get close. In addition to Hyuga Hazashi, this girl of the clan is also protected by 2 personal maids. They are also Jonin level branch house ninjas. Hyuga clan. Hyuga Shaw murmured to himself, a dangerous light flashed in his eyes. In the temporary hospital in Konoha camp, a girl with white eyes wiped the sweat from her forehead tiredly. Miss, you don't need to do it yourself. We can do all the dirty work. 2 women with white eyes around them quickly picked up towels to wipe the sweat of the girl from the clan. But the girl just smiled sweetly. Father did not allow me to fight Sand Shinobi. But I also want to do my best to do what I can for everyone. I also want to use my power to help everyone. Hanane-sama. The 2 branch housemaids couldn't help but be moved by her sheer emotion. The girl from the clan in front of her has a gentleness and kindness that is completely different from other clans. If you really want to contribute to everyone, take care of Orochimaru-sama. He defeated 3 5 or 5 cage level experts in a row, and even fought 2 of them at the same time. Although it can't be seen on the surface, his actual injuries are much more serious than mine. Facing Hina's care, Tsukumo said calmly. He is not a cold person, but the long-term bar made him unable to change his emotions for a while. Tsukumo's cold words made Hinone feel a little sad, but instead she whispered the name she had heard countless times. Orochimaru-sama. But is it okay for a low-level medical ninja like me? Of course, he is a gentle man. Tsukumo seemed to realize that the tone just now was too hurtful, and hurriedly added in a softer tone. If not, he would not risk death by forcibly killing the third Kazekage to give Konoha a chance to win. The other side, Konoha camp, in Inshimaru's lounge. Now Hatake Tsukumo is seriously injured. If you want to kill Tsukumo for revenge, I can create an opportunity for you. Or, I can personally take revenge for you. Orochimaru rubbed Makoto's cheek, admiring her flawless face. If Tsukumo, who had just said, Orochimaru is very gentle, heard this, I don't know what he would think. But Makoto just shook his head seriously. I want to do this on my own. I know that I am not a match for Hatake Tsukumo yet. I want to wait until I have truly reached this level to defeat him head-on. Orochimaru smiled. Having such thoughts is a good thing after all, and Orochimaru will not dampen her enthusiasm. Then he lowered Makoto's head again and watched her continue to work in front of him. 3 hours later, a satisfied Orochimaru left the room. Orochimaru-sama. Orochimaru-sama. Seeing Orochimaru's figure, countless ninjas guarding him showed expressions of admiration. They are ninjas specially selected to protect Orochimaru. After all, Orochimaru is seriously injured at this time and may face assassination from Sand Shinobi at any time. Orochimaru just nodded slightly, accepting their greetings. Suddenly, a coy girl among these ninjas caught Orochimaru's attention. Of course, what attracts Orochimaru is not the appearance of a girl. There are as many as 800 girls who are pregnant with him in Konoha, and they are accompanied by top beauties like Tsunade and Makoto. What attracts Orochimaru is her pure white eyes and smooth forehead. Hyuga clan. Orochimaru couldn't help but approach her. What's wrong, Hyuga? Orochimaru-sama, he actually remembers my name. Hyuga couldn't help but feel happy and flattered in her heart, but she felt a little embarrassed when she thought about the next request. She just said in a soft and waxy voice. Lord Orochimaru, can I take care of you if you take over? As she spoke, her voice became quieter and quieter, until finally it was almost inaudible. But these naturally cannot escape Orochimaru's ears. Orochimaru was stunned for a moment, then remembered that he was still suffering from hidden wounds. There was a glimmer of interest in his eyes, and the corners of his mouth also curved slightly. Of course, Hinone. Orochimaru rubbed the girl's long black hair, lowered his body slightly, and put his mouth close to her slightly red cheek. Thank you for your concern. Orochimaru's breathing was so close that Hyuga felt her heartbeat stop for a few beats. But you are from the Zong family after all. Let Hyuga Sha be with you. When Hyuga Sha was summoned by Orochimaru, she was a little uneasy. She has yet to find a chance to capture the Byakugan. Although the Jonin level guards around Hyuga Hanain are no match for her who has gained the power of the Curse Seal of Heaven, Hyuga Natsu cannot defeat them in a short time. Unable to express his worth, Hyuga Sha is worried about being abandoned by Orochimaru. After all, for Hyuga Sha, Orochimaru is the only possibility to break the caged bird. For Orochimaru, Hyuga Sha is just one of many choices, dispensable. Hyuga Sha knocked on the door of Orochimaru's lounge nervously. The person who opened the door was Uchiha Makoto. This girl, Hyuga Sha, had already heard of her name at the Ninja Academy, and her teacher often compared herself with Makoto. But the girl who is now apprenticed to Orochimaru has a bright future. He himself is destined to be just a puppet pulled by fate because of the curse mark on his forehead. Hyuga Sha couldn't help but feel an emotion called envy. I envy the Uchiha clan that there is no distinction between clan and branch houses, and everyone can equally distinguish their status by strength. I also envy Makoto for being able to get Orochimaru's attention earlier than him. Orochimaru-sama has been waiting for a long time. Facing this junior, Makoto just said plainly, without any idea of communication. I wonder what Orochimaru-sama's orders were when he summoned me. Makoto looked at Hyuga's pure white eyes, which seemed to be flawless. You'll find out later. Her gentleness is only revealed when facing Orochimaru. Even with the girl in front of her who may become a companion, Makoto shows absolute cruelty. Besides, he was his competitor for the eyes of Orochimaru-sama. Of course, although he is a little jealous, Makoto's loyalty to Orochimaru cannot possibly bully this girl whom Orochimaru values. Hyuga Sha walked into the inner room. She immediately saw another girl with white eyes. Hyuga Young Sound. Hyuga Sha looked at her smooth and unobstructed forehead, and the deepest wound in her heart was suddenly opened again. Hyuga Sha couldn't help but feel a surge of anger. Is this showing off to her? Although she knew that Hyuga Hanain did not have such thoughts, this fact once again stung Hyuga Sha's sensitive and fragile heart. Kill her and give her Byakugan to Lord Orochimaru. Such thoughts emerged uncontrollably from Hyuga Sha's mind. 1.0 inches Hyuga Sha, sister. I have heard other ninjas mention you before. I heard that you helped before Lord Orochimaru defeated Ebizo. I've always wanted to see you. But Hanayan's soft words interrupted Hyuga Sha's dark thoughts. I've heard about you too. The eldest lady of the Hyuga clan, here comes the clan leader's wife. Unlike branch houses like me, all branch houses must protect people with their lives. Perhaps my future is to become your son or daughter's servant. But Hyuga Sha only responded with calm words, respectful and impeccable posture. But facing Hyuga Sha's attitude, Blind seemed a little at a loss. Orochimaru looked at this scene with interest. Hyuga Hinata has always been trained as the wife of the clan leader. The hands protected by the Hyuga clan have never been stained with blood, but she has also given birth to a child with a weak nature similar to Hinata in later generations. True, gentle and kind character. Hyuga Sha, on the other hand, lost her freedom because of her status as a branch house since she was a child. No matter how hard she worked, she was rejected casually, so she slowly buried her dissatisfaction deep in her heart and showed herself to be a branch house. Beautiful and submissive gesture. In fact, he is just waiting for someone who can give him the power to change his destiny to dig out the feeling of hatred. Their conflicts are irreconcilable, no matter what Hyuga does. Because, if he accepts Hanayan's kindness, it means that Hyuga Sha has given up the pursuit of freedom, the meaning of survival, and is willing to become a puppet of fate. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.